Hi there, Zell. How are you? I hope you are well. Oh. eh. I'm sick, but I'm not in the worst of it yet, so. I'm glad you're okay. Ew, it's Sparky Sparky Boom Man. Sparky! There needs to be a bar over here so I can scroll faster down. I could just click red and select, but I don't want to be able to scroll up and down through all the colors, so. I think I missed that card. I didn't think I talked about this the other day. Mana value actually loses all abilities, destroy those creatures. That's sweet. Nice wrath. Okay. At least it's an X spell wrath, so I suppose that's okay. Oh wait, this says no wonder it's a rare. Okay. I was like, what is happening? Alright, show me... Wrong. That's what I want. Now scroll down. Whee! Firebending is very interesting. Yeah, definitely. The mana has to be used in combat, so it can be used for instance or activated abilities. So waterbending actually goes pretty well with it. I was like, I don't remember that card. All right. Pull the tea. See if I can drink it. Yeah. How many instant speed cantrips in red to make that go burr? Sure, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's probably more of a constructed mechanic in theory. So, but yeah, you can still use activate abilities like clue tokens and the waterbending stuffs. All right. Okay. Sorry, I am sick, so bear with me on this one. All right. I am not on any drugs right now, but tomorrow you could bet I'll be on like Sudafed and Afrin. And I'm gonna hope it doesn't do anything bad to me to double up on decongestants. We'll see. Yeah. So we got a 3-mana 2/2. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Oh, thanks so much, Heal to the Face. Really appreciate it. Yeah, colds are always awful for me. I'm pretty sure that that's what this is. Obviously, I will test for COVID, but I think I just got it from my Plague Factory of a nephew. Sadly. Emotionally, it's worth it. For how long it takes me out, it's pretty rough. He just likes to give kisses and touch my face, you know? like you do. And doesn't mind coughing or sneezing in your face like kids do. Um. Oh god, ow, ow. He calls me Ariana now, but sometimes he still calls me Auntie Nana. Okay. Anyway, Borcupine. I gave him magic cards, and I got lots of love for that. So that was cool. So this is a boar porcupine. And it is very similar to Spellgorger Weird. In fact, as you can see, it is a full reprint, with different creature type line and name, but it's the exact same card. And traditionally in Limited, you can definitely build around these, and there is a lesson deck in here. So this is like permanent prowess, like, so to speak. So we've seen a lesson deck, we've seen a bunch of cards with prowess, and this tends to be, you know, it can just get out of hand. However many shocks are in the format is going to make this, you know, interesting. The other thing that's in this format that we know of are bounce or exile with airbending, and there's a couple bounce spells that we've seen. There are a few like enchantment-based removal things, but they can be bounced themselves, or you can bounce the creature from under them. / exile with airbending. And notably, the enchantment-based removal is weakened in this set by the fact that leaving creatures on the board means that they are still capable of being used for sacrifice fodder for that one deck that we've seen in the black so far, and water bending, because you can still tap them down for those abilities. So yeah, that's fun. So you don't really want to leave them on the battlefield. I thought that was okay. I thought that was my mic doing things, but apparently it's the cat. So this card can be pretty strong. It can get out of control pretty quickly. Again, it's better in a slower format, but it's because, again, 3 mana for a 2/2 is not all that impressive. But the fact that there are, you know, 36 lessons, and obviously all the other things count the non-creature spells besides those lessons, which tend to be mostly instants, but I've seen a few sorceries, I think. Hold on, let's go see. Yeah, that's a Strixhaven. Instant. Here's a sorcery. That's an old one, but here's a sorcery on uncommon. Sorcery at common. Okay. Yeah, so there's a good mix of instants and sorceries that are lessons. Some from the jumpstart as well. Sorry about the noises. I'm so sorry. In advance, I don't yeah, gross noises to be had. Sorry. So I'm gonna put this as a, I mean, from what I've seen, it might be a B-. It might actually be above a C+ because there is definitely a prowess deck in this. And this is one of the, you know, good enablers, if it's as good as Spellgorger Weird was. So I'm gonna tentatively put it at a B-. Hi, Griddle! How are you? Sorry. Boomy Bash. So 4 mana, deals damage equal to the number of lands you control to target creature. Or you can destroy target land, creature, or non-basic land. So, where's my rock slide? Okay, there's more things with rock than I thought there were. So we've recently seen something like this. 4 mana tends to be the cost for this type of spell at sorcery speed to deal damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. Unless the creature's really large, this is often going to do enough damage to it. Again, there's a hexproof spell, a couple hexproof spells that we've seen / indestructible things to do. So it's so there's the Shore Up as hexproof, there's the 1 white mana hexproof and all that other abilities. And then there's the thing that makes an ally indestructible. So hopefully this will actually land for 4 mana, but we'll see. But that's a fine thing. Then you also have the choice here to be able to destroy target land creature, means an earth-bended land. You're going to go to your pre-release kind of late next Tuesday? Nice! Isn't that the full release? Or is that just the... I actually don't know when the full release is. But the versatility in this is nice. Or non-basic land is... Maybe you can take them off of a source of mana. I haven't seen the lands yet, so I don't know what it's destroying as far as like how many fixers there are in the common slots or uncommon slots for, you know, making sure that you can run 2 colors. So we'll see about that. Usually you're going to want to run 1 or 2 of these at least in a red deck just as removal. The destroy target land creature or non-basic land, again, is those earth-bent lands that have +1/+1 encounters on them. You can just destroy it no matter how big it is. So that's, you know, a worthy addition. No more, we're just strictly better than this card, just because you have extra options. So yeah, power creep, yay! I really did love Boomy. Boomy was great. Okay. So yeah, you're gonna want to pick this up. This is a B. It's just a decent piece of removal in red. It's what red gets a lot of the time. Cave of Two Lovers. Oh, this with the mole rats. Wait, no, badger moles. Badger. Am I missing? Yeah, badger somethings. Sorry, badger moles. I think it was. So the story, here we go. The 2 white ally creature tokens. Search a library for a mountain or a cave card. Reveal it. Put... Oh, do we have cave cards in this set? Interesting. Put it into your hand, then shuffle. And Earthbend 3. The target land becomes a 0/0 creature with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. Okay. So 2 1/1 white tokens for that for 4 mana is not impressive. Over another turn, I would be much happier if this put this into play, but at least it makes sure you're going to hit your 5th land. I imagine that's going to be best in red-green, but I am not absolutely certain yet. Again, if it can fix your mana, that's pretty good. A cave card, if the caves are multiple colors, I don't know if they are. We'll see. This is very thematic. It's very... The lore works. Earthbend 3. So everything about how they're ranking these cards suggests to me that they think earthbending is pretty strong. I'm still wary of tying up a land as a creature. But given that this fetches up the land that you can do this to, I don't think it's that bad. I think the fact that these are ally creature tokens is very important. The ally creature type very much matters. So I'm really excited to get, you know, to poop out two of them. So I think that's probably worth the 4 mana cost. I think this feels worth it. I'm not that excited about ramping at 4. I'd rather ramp at 3 at the very latest. Obviously 1 and 2 are preferable. But it's rare to be able to ramp on 1. And this is not even ramping. This is just putting it into your hand. It's just making sure you hit your 5th land drop. So again, I can very much see why it's an uncommon as opposed to a rare, and I'm not even sure exactly how playable it is. I'm going to give it a B minus, but I could be underrating it. And again, depending on what types of things you have, like 2/1/1 white ally creature tokens, as we know, you can be playing the white 3-drop here, this Enthusiast, right? On 3, and then you play this on 4 and attack with a 4/4, and then the next turn make sure you can play something on 5, and then the next turn get a 3/3 haster and assume you have enough lands. So it's not that bad. Like I think it's probably you know, the lore is perfect. Hello, welcome Steel City. How was your stream? These are lovely, lovely people. If you're not following Steel City, you are missing out greatly. And if you're not in their Discord, I'm sorry, Steel City, I am sick, so I am making gross noises. I apologize. But yeah, we're on a really thematic card, and I'm trying to figure out the best synergies with it. I do think playing, you know, a Boros deck going wide and mass pumping in, because we've seen a bunch of mass pump in the white, like playing this on 3 and going into Cave of Two Lovers on 4, attacking with a 4/4. The next turn, like I said, getting the mountain to be able to, or cave to be able to hit your 5-drop, and then getting a 3/3 haster if you know, are perhaps flooded on lands is perfectly fine. One sealed, nice. Oh, awesome. Well, welcome. We're in the second half. Basically what I'm doing is, because the majority of the cards that you're going to see are your commons and uncommons, I always start with the commons and uncommons, and we discuss, you know, things that, you know, echo the cards. Like here we saw Boomy Bash, and we know that it's just a strictly better Rock Slide. And we know how to evaluate these cards based on how they performed in the past. Obviously sets are different and cards go up and down in terms of their context, but in this case, Rock Slide is always going to have a place in a red deck, usually because it's just what red gets as far as removal. This one has the added versatility of being able to destroy one of these earthbound lands. Earthbended? Yeah. Earthbent. Get bent, land! Sorry. I'm also punchy. So no matter how big it was, so that's a nice little extra bit there. But we're looking at the Cave of Two Lovers. I am... the thing about earth bending is that it does tie up a land. You have to choose whether you want to use that creature for the mana or whether you want to actually attack with it. And it is vulnerable a little bit because it will return to the battlefield tapped. You won't get access to that land. So you have to make decisions prior to attacking when your opponent is more likely to remove it on whether you want to use it prior or actually just attack with it. So there's some interesting choices to be made with Earthbend. And again, it's just a little bit risky. They can be bounced. And then you would have to replay them. Otherwise, it's just going to return to the battlefield tapped, so you're not worried about having to be too far behind on your mana. You're excited for Secret Tunnel, nice, yes. So far, I think this card is a B minus, but it could come up in my estimation. Saga's just the free value over turns is pretty nice. But again, at 4 mana for 2/1/1s, the best I think I'm going to do with that is like go Enthusiasts into it. So that's okay. Not terribly exciting. Sparky Boom Man! Sorry. They missed out on calling it that. Anyway, this is a 5 mana 4/6. And at 5 mana 4/6 is pretty dumb. At uncommon. I'm perfectly fine with this. Oh, sorry, incoming ad break. So sorry. Thank you so much for sitting through the ads. They are the only reason we can have a stream. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to avoid them, you can absolutely head to another streamer. There are amazing ones on. Alternatively, you can subscribe for free with Prime or with actual monies and avoid the ads entirely, or do the Twitch Turbo Premium thing or whatever it's called. Sparky Boom Man is his government name. So yes, I like the return on investment. 5 mana for a 4/6, perfectly fine. I'm good with that. So we'll see what we also get for that. But the one thing that we want to keep in mind is that that does that opens it up here to the white removal spell for greater here. So we're just interested in the fact that this is vulnerable to that. Whenever it attacks, destroy target permanent unless its controller has Combustion Man, deal damage to them equal to its power. So you can destroy a permanent when you attack unless they take 4. That's pretty nutty. I think this is a very, very strong uncommon. It is legendary, that's notable. And it's very important to remember that when you draft them. Again, the rule of thumb, they could have done both. Yes, they could have. The rule of thumb kind of is you want to run maximum of 2 of any legendary in a 40 card limited deck. Running more than that runs a huge risk of not being able to, of having a dead card in hand. Of course, this is predicated on your deck not having tons of ways to draw, discard, loot away, you know, a useless card, etc. And you can run 3 if you must draw, if your deck must draw that card. Again, but the general rule of thumb is about 2 mathematically. But yeah, this is a B+. This is fantastic. This is even probably an A-. I think this card is very, very good. Its stat lines are pretty good. The only comparable stat lines that we've seen so far, obviously the troop can block it all day, unless, you know, the opponent wants to kill, like, unless the opponent doesn't take the 4 on the attack. But the major things that we've seen that block it are like Serpent of the Pass, and the Land Cycler. Where's the Land Cycler? Giant Koi. So, and they're both on, that's on 6, and this is potentially coming down much earlier, but it's an uncommon. Potentially, it's gonna make it there, but, and this one, again, you don't really want to block with it. You want to make sure you kill the Sparky Boom Man. So blocking with this is not ideal because you will have taken the 4 damage anyway, so they don't destroy whatever you could block with in the first place. But this comes down approximately the same time at 5. So I really like this card. I think this might be an A-. Yeah, that's a pretty strong one for 5 mana. And it makes sense, but I really wish that I think Combustion Man was the only thing that could destroy Combustion Man. It was the boomerang hitting the eye. Well, we're only doing commons and uncommons for now. I haven't seen any of the other cards, essentially. I mean, I've seen a few, you know, that circulated on socials, but this is just for that. It's what you're more likely to encounter in your pre-releases. That's why I focus on these first, is you'll encounter the rares and mythics, especially more frequently these days with not only in sealed versus draft, but also with play boosters. So we will get to the rares, but mainly we want to focus on the commons and uncommons and what you're more likely to have to deal with when you face your opponent in the pre-release, etc. So, combustion technique. Oh, right after Sparky Boom Man. Sparky Boom technique. Oh, look, it's Sparky Boom Man here. Okay. Sorry. So it deals damage equal to 2 plus the number of lesson cards in your graveyard to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. All right, so it's instant speed lesson. 2 plus the number of lessons. We've seen a bunch of really cool ways to get lessons into your graveyard. This does also confirm that even among the Grixis colors, it's pretty good to self-mill, and that makes this Paku way better than it was before. So we've seen a bunch of ways that this can actually matter, and I think that so far, obviously we will see the rest of the colors and so on and so forth, but the the things that I've seen so far lead me to believe that you are always going to be milling yourself with this card. Unless it's literally the opponent's last. You have 8 lessons in the graveyard, and the opponent has the last 8 cards in their deck. But almost always you're going to be using this to mill yourself to make sure that you put the lesson cards in your graveyard so that you get the value out of the cards, such as Combustion Technique and such as this lovely card here. I love this. This is me. I would have stayed in that library. That library was amazing. But yes, never identified so hard with somebody. Okay. I can learn all the things. I could just stay here and learn every... Okay, sorry. Oh. But yeah. So you're milling to get this in the graveyard. You're milling to get all sorts of other things. There's so many other lesson cards, right? Matter cards in your graveyard. So again, I think the best thing to do with this Paku, and it's getting much, much, much better, is you're going to self-mill. On occasion, it'll mill out your opponent, but I think that's a far more rare instance that you're going to choose to do that. Again, it's only for the kill, I think. To some degree. But at least in the very beginning, it's all going to be self-mill. And same thing. So this is going to be really important to do that way as well. So 2 damage for 2, not a great ROI. It's not shock. But it is important even at 2, because we did see the weird, the Spellgorger weird reprint. So that spell is going to be important to take this out before it gets out of hand. We've seen a lot of things that 2 damage will remove, so it doesn't surprise me that they couldn't put this at 1 mana. Plus the number of lesson cards in your graveyard, it seems pretty easy to... There's 36 lessons. It seems pretty easy to be able to... and I think some of them are jumpstart, but it seems pretty easy to get some lessons in your graveyard to make this, you know, bigger, better, faster, stronger. I do think the exile may be relevant. Just because we did see 1 reanimator spell in black at uncommon here. And we've seen a few things that we've seen something that returns other stuff as well. So that's, I think, this is a good card. I'm going to pick it highly. I think this is a B+. I think you're going to take it early. It's lower than this, but this is a really nice card. Crescent. Oh, here's another shrine. Okay. Okay. So this shrine combos best with the white shrine. Absolutely. So Southern Air Temple loves the Crescent Island Temple. This is very, very nice together because you get the little buggers to mass pump, and that's really cool. Unfortunately, they have the same casting cost, so you can't go one into the other on curve, which is unfortunate. That said, this is still a way better card because you're going to be playing creatures anyway. And to be able to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature is great. Again, it's weak because it's weaker because it doesn't actually put a creature into play to put a counter on to start with, and you may not have any creatures, so you may have to hold on to it. So it is no it's no Ridge Scale Tusker. So this is like I said, the best iteration that there's ever been of this is Endless Battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. We saw something similar in Spider-Man that was a 4/3, but this was just the best of them. And it's on a body itself for 5 minutes, so that's really sweet. So the Southern Air Temple is just not as good. The fact that it can happen again, though, potentially, is pretty cool. Now this, when it enters for each shrine you control, create a 1/1. So 4 mana for a 1/1 with prowess, not good enough. You have to have a preponderance of shrines for this to work. Remember, they're legendaries. You can't play 2 of these, have 2 on the board. So this is, in general, I think the shrines are much weaker than the older shrines. We were discussing that. So if I pull up all the shrines here, you can see that of the originals, right? This one was going to do a damage every turn on the upkeep to a creature or player, which was pretty crazy. Even just 1 to be able to ping away a 1 toughness creature was pretty crazy. And then if you got 2, you know, God help your opponent. The Hondan of Life's Web, pooping out a 1/1 every single upkeep. The Hondan drawing for every shrine, every upkeep. Those were all very, very good. The Sanctum, this draw was pretty good. The Calm Waters, the Fruitful Harvest, the all of these were just stronger than what we're seeing here, in my opinion. Because these have to have another shrine come into play to repeat, they don't do it every turn. And they used to do things every turn. So this was the upkeep. This was pre-combat main phase. And these were at the beginning of your end step. These go Shintai. And the green and white were the best of these as well. So I'm not impressed with the current shrines. I think they have a home in Constructed because they're more shrines and they do more things with other shrines coming into play. But in Limited, where it's very difficult to acquire that many because other people will potentially be fighting over them, and because this is 3 mana draw card, and then maybe you get to draw another card over the course of the game for this, like, it's a divination, but not as good. Like, that's not worth your time, I think, unless you literally have like a 5-color shrine deck and can run 1 of each and are guaranteed to draw them and be able to play them. This one I don't like, the blue one, we talked about that. But I do like the Southern Air Temple. I think that's just going to reward you for playing the game. Otherwise, you don't really need to trigger it more than once for it to be relevant, potentially. Obviously, there are going to be some circumstances we don't have enough creatures, and that's not going to be amazing, but there you go. So, but this red one seems like a really poor ROI. So it's 4 mana for 2 1/1 red monk creature tokens, potentially over the course of a game. Now, again, if you get 3, you get to play them all. You're living the dream. That's awesome. I'm sure I'm going to die to that deck. I'm just not going to prioritize that necessarily. Because again, just 1 to start with, and then you got to draw that other shrine. Like, it's going to be a little bit interesting. I suspect people are going to go for the shrine decks pretty heavily, and you'll have to, at least in the beginning, and you'll have to compete with a bunch of people for them. And therefore, I think it might be a good idea to avoid them for that reason. I mean, you can try forcing it, and maybe you'll get them all, but you'll need all 5 colors to really maximize it. So I think 3 colors is probably enough to make me try to run all 3. But and if I get handed one late, sure. But I'm not going to go out of my way to draft this card. So I'm going to put this on a I'm actually going to put this on a C+ level. It's going to go up if you already have shrines, but it's still not going to be great. All right, Cunning Maneuver. So +3/+1 until end of turn, create a clue token. I think, so I normally don't like +3/+1 on a creature unless it's going to poop out like a manifest token afterwards. Or like +3/+0. I need more power, more toughness pump. Sorry. Yeah. I need more toughness pump to be really happy spending 2 full mana on it. But I think this card makes me happy in this set for the following reason. This is a firebending card. So if you attack with a firebender, and you get like 2 red mana that won't empty until end of combat, this is a really nice spell to cast. Because you can either spend it with those 2 firebending mana, or if you spend your, if you still have those 2 mana, you can crack the clue token that you make off this mid-combat. So it's a way to use the mana. Again, +3/+1 is not impressive to me unless it's winning the game, right? If you get through and you're with a 3 power creature and they have 6 life, sure, go for it, right? +3/+1 doesn't necessarily win that many combats in theory. Again, we've got to see about the Reddit letters of like averages of how much you have to pump a creature in order to win a combat. And if +1 on the toughness is enough to do that a decent proportion of the time, then we're going to be happy with this card, even happier with this card. I think it's still fine because of the clue token. This is sort of a red draw spell. Now, it can get blown out by the, opponent removing the creature in response, and that's a little irritating for the cost of 2 full mana, but I think it's okay. So I'm going to give it a C+. I think it's playable. Whereas normally I would look at the 2 and the +3/+1 and be like, no, thank you. Not me, please. The clue tokens, the additional interest, and then again, I don't want to get blown out and lose the 2 mana off this, but such is life. Okay. Deserter's Disciple, 2 mana, 2/2. Another target creature you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. So it's an ally. That's a relevant type. Another target creature you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn is always an interesting thing. We have tons of those. They're usually dwarves. They are usually dwarves. We've got lots of different goblins. Those are the those are the most frequently occurring versions of this. I need a mono red dwarf here. So this is Dwarven Nomad, I think was the first one I remember that does this. It's a 3 mana 1/1 that gives target creature with power 2 or less unblockable this turn. Most recently we had it in Duskmourn with the Ragged Doll or whatever it was. What was it? Ragged Playmate. But you had to pay to do so. This one just has to tap. And it is important to note because you can give something 2 or less unblockable and then pump it. And it'll still be unblockable. As long as you don't target it with a pump in response to this, you should be good. So this is always worth remembering that with this type of thing. This is a way you can get in for the final points of damage. It's not awful for a 2/2. It's an ally, so it's a relevant creature type. This is a perfectly playable card. C+ is a fine thing, and I won't mind running 1 or 2 of those because, again, 2-drops are key in this, and even if they're a bear, it's important these days to have early blockers and limited. And early plays. So Fire Nation attacks. 5 mana, create 2... What? Well, that's gross. So an instant speed poop out 2 2/2 red soldier tokens. 2/2s. Okay, sorry. Red soldier to creature tokens with firebending 1 seems perfectly fine. I am really happy getting 2/2s at instant speed. That can blow out a lot of attacks. I like this card. I'm gonna go with I mean, again, at 5 mana, you're not with flashback is fine. But at 5 mana, you're not necessarily going to want to run a ton of these. But I'm pretty happy with them. They aren't allies, so they're not going to trigger your allies enter the battlefield synergies. But they are at instant speed, and I'm always happy about that. And remember that if you're attacking with other things with firebending, maybe you can get this for free off of the firebending mana. It's a way to spend during the combat. So I like this. I think this is a B+. I do think it's diminishing returns. I think on I don't know how many 5-drops at this point I'd run. It depends on how slow the format is. Fire Nation Cadets, 1 mana 1/2, has Firebending 2 as long as there's a lesson card in your graveyard. Okay, the lesson cards in the graveyard, that Paku is going to be so good. So, yeah, if nothing else, you can reduce the cost with the Firebending mana, definitely. So, I mean, so ideally they get better in multiples. They just already cost 5. So unless you have a lot of early firebenders, like they can make the next one cheaper, but It's gonna be, I just like this more as an ambush than anything. So yeah, Fire Nation cadets, they can get fire breathing, ha 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 ha, for 2. I missed the fire breathing art, so I'm gonna go look it up again. No, that's not the one I want. I want the original. Yeah. This is a classic. This is one of the... So the earliest version I would have seen would be revised, which is here. This is what magic cards looked like once upon a time. Welcome to the Boomer Show. Not to be confused with the Boomy Show. But yeah, so this is a card early, in terms, it's just like a 1/2 early that can block some of the 1/1s. And it's also a threat late, this 2 pumping, right? So at the very least, Fire Branding 2, as long as the lesson card, that's enough to pump it once, so it attacks as a 2/2, as long as there's a lesson card in your graveyard. So I don't mind this, perfectly playable. I think it's C/C+, which is fine card. And it may end up overperforming just because, you know, it's 1 mana, and it's like a fine early game drop, and then late it can be a real threat. Fire Nation Raider. 4 mana 4/2 with Raid. When this creature enters, if you attack this turn, create a clue token. That's really nice with some of the, with a ton of the evasion that we've seen. We've seen flyers in black at uncommon that I liked. We've seen flyers in white, multiple different ones in different rarities there. And then we've seen flyers in blue that were pretty darn good. So this definitely has a home. I don't really like the 4/2 stats, but the clue token is really key, and that's it's similar in principle. Obviously you need to jump through a bit of a hoop to include just attacking to get that clue token, but the same idea is behind the 4-drop otter. Give me 1 second. From Bloomborough. So Pathmaker. It's like you get this 4 mana 4/2 that gets to do something as far as getting you card advantage. So this one exiles the top card of your library, and until the next turn, end of next turn, you can play that card. This one gets you a clue such that you can draw later and move into stuff. Move your deck forward in his plan. So yeah. It's a similar card. It has a place. It's not exciting necessarily, but it's a card. So C or C+, perfectly playable card. Fire Sages, 2 mana 2/2 fire bending 1, and you can pay. Ooh, damn. All right. I didn't like them in the show. They were mean. All right. So this is a fantastic card. I like this. For me, this is a B+. I really think that it's a bear, but it also has a lot of good ways to get really unpleasant really quickly. So this seems perfectly fine. I like that card. Firebending Lesson, 1 mana, 2 damage to target. Oh, okay. Okay, so there's our shock. And then we've got the kicker to deal 5 damage to that creature instead. We've had a lot of different versions of this again. Burst Lightning could target any target, so that makes it better. This is only creatures, so you should remember that. It is a lesson. You're going to be picking this pretty highly. This is again, a B+ card. There's a lot of things that it kills for 2. The presence of this card definitely makes this card worse. Because that's like 4 mana that you can spend and get removed by a 2. Yeah. But it's still, you know, you're definitely taking this card. Okay. So, yeah, good card. I like it. And then again, later game, you can kill something larger. But you can't kill the serpents. Not the serpent, the koi, I think. That has 7 toughness, I think. But it's a nice lesson to get early into your graveyard. It's an instant speed spell that you can use firebending, sorry, to play during combat. So pretty sweet. How to start a riot. Yes. Hey, riot! 3 mana. Target creature gains menace until end of turn. And creature's target player controls gets +2/+2 until end of turn. All right, we're upping the power level of certain spells here. So, Pour Trumpet Blast, teach your heart out. Attacking creatures get +2/+0 until end of turn. We've got other effects of this. Oh, that's a Simpson. That's a Marsh. That's a very open-ended question about 2 past sets. If you have a more specific question, I can try to answer. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what to say to that one. Trumpet Blast. So this is originally like the mass pump there. The thing was you could often get caught, and I've done this once. You often get caught if you play this prior to combat, nothing's attacking, and so nothing happens, and so it's really annoying. But this has been upgraded over time. We've seen a bunch of different cards recently, like the one in Foundations that has the goblin, like something surprise assault or something like that. Might not be in this. We'll see. Oh my god, there's too many goblins. I shouldn't have done that. Mistake! Retreat! Also forgetting it doesn't quite work for defensively. Exactly. If you play it on that, opponent's attacking, then their attackers get all the thing. So let's go advance here. Let's go red. Let's go Foundations. And let's go common, a search. Goblin Surprise. That's what it was. So recently we've seen something like this, where you have the versatility of, creatures you can only get +2/+0 until end turn, or create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Now we've got both something gains menace and you in theory get your creatures get +2/+0. So this seems like a perfectly fine card, and the fact that it's a lesson is pretty sweet. So again, I want one of these in my go wide decks, especially if I'm Boros. It looks like red produces a number of decent creatures to do that with too. If you can give your lovely porky boar, pine boar thing, if you can give that menace and then attack with everything and pump them all, that gets to be a lot of damage really fast, because this will be attacking as a 5/5. If it had been 2/2, you can get +2/+2, and then you get the +1/+1 counter from casting that spell. Give it menace, and then go for the others. But it's a decent card. The Spider-Man set was Through the Omen Paths was the version of the Spider-Man set that was released online. They were not able to get the digital license for the cards. You are correct. The Spider-Man set itself was really fun to play in paper. But the format for which it was meant to be played in limited was not really good for online play. With it as the draft set, because it was very small. It had only 5 colors. 5 color pairs supported to it. So it was just, the draft environment became pretty stale pretty quickly. I don't know about how Constructed went. There were some, Caballero is in Constructed, and that is nutty. So, like, there's some good cards for it in Constructed. From it in Constructed. But Midnight Hunt was a long time ago. And it was fine. I don't think it had as many backbreaking bombs as Crimson Vow. And then it also had... it was a little imbalanced. The blue-black decks were quite a bit better than everything else if the pieces were there. So it's funny that the werewolf set, the werewolves were the worst sort of typo kindred thing. So yeah, I am hyped for this set. This one sounds great. I'm just sick, so I'm so sorry if I don't sound hyped. I am very excited for this. And we do have the streamer early. Make sure you mark your calendars. The streamer early access is technically today. It's 12:52 in the morning, but it's at 1 p.m. Eastern. Streamer early access. Follow your streamers and see when they log on for that. I will be on for it, provided I'm not absolutely freaking ridiculously disgusting. Like, I know I'm disgusting, but like, ugh. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, this one I will rate it. It's a C+. It's a fine card. Can definitely win some games. Perfectly playable. Iroh's Demonstration. 2 mana. 1 damage to each creature your opponents control, or 4 damage to target creature for 2 mana. That's awesome. 4 damage to target creature for 2 mana. We take that every time. It's a sorcery, but there's that. And there are occasions where 1 damage to each creature your opponents control is going to be backbreaking for the opponent, especially if they've like put out a bunch of the things that poop out ally tokens. So for example, this Gather the White Lotus, the Kyoshi Warriors poops out a token. The 2 1/1s up here, where are they? The reinforcements here poops out tokens and dies itself to this. So there are going to be a lot of times where, so this is a super high pick. I think this might even be an A-. From what I'm seeing just of the removal in red and the other context of, you know, the cards that are available in the set. I think this is a very good removal spell. It could still be B+. I haven't seen the rares and mythics. Usually I reserve the A slots for rares and mythics, but so far I think Iroh's Demonstration and the Sparky Boom Man, I think, are in the A tiers. The lowest of the A tiers or the highest of the B. It depends. Okay. Zhang the Deserter. 3 mana, 2/3 firebending 1. It's an ally. That's a relevant creature type. We have an exhaust ability. Put a +1 counter on it. When you next cast a lesson spell this turn, copy it, and you may choose new targets for the copy. So you have to be able to pay the 3, whether you use firebending to do so. Because remember, abilities can be activated using firebender things as long as you do it before the combat ends. So you can attack with 3 firebenders, pay the exhaust, and then use your actual mana for a your lands for an instant or a lesson, and copy it and choose new targets for the copy. Again, I mean, almost everything's a lesson. It's like 36, like we said. And I think some of those are not necessarily. I think some of those are rare, and some of those are from the other. Is it from Jumpstart? Or how many do we actually have? Sorry, hold on. Total. Total is 36. Yeah, I think there's like 1 or 2 rares and mythics. Like there's the Elemental Teachings here. There's a mythic blue, red here. So probably around 28 or so, but a lot of them are commons. So I think you can probably get this to work. I think it requires a little bit of doing for a 3 mana 2/3. So I'm gonna give this a B or B-, but you know, it could go up in my estimation. I think I'm gonna go with B- for now, but seems okay. Jet's Brainwashing. 1 mana, target creature can't block this turn. You can pay kicker 3, and if it was kicked, gain. We don't have learn in this set. I was asking about that when we were first starting this review, and they were like, there's no learn, and I was like, what? I was so upset. Just lessons. So there's a lot of lessons and nobody to learn them apparently. But anyway, target creature can't block this turn. If this spell was kicked, gain control of that creature until end of turn. Untap it, and it gains haste until end of turn. You get to also create a clue token. So it's a threaten effect for 4 mana that creates a clue token if you pay the kicker. It has the added versatility of being able to just say 1 mana, that creature can't block this turn, and create a clue token. So you can use it on when they have a profitable block and you can take away their only profitable block, or you can just use it to kill them if they just don't have enough creatures total to block your assault. But you can also just have the threaten effect. So we've had a lot of these recently. So involuntary employment, most recently in Foundations, is an example of one. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. That's the sort of 4 mana total here from this. And then you also, so here you create a clue token, but there you created a treasure token. So it's the same idea. It's useful under the same circumstances, but I like the added versatility of being able to pay the 1 and target creature can't block this turn. Notably, this is not a lesson. This is one of the, like, we don't have that many not a lessons, but spells, but not a lesson, so that's important to remember. But again, clue tokens, seems to be giving red a way to draw further into the deck and get closer to doing other things. Oh, look, a lightning strike. So this is it's been reprinted. Take it, it's good. Oh wait, where do I want to put this on this? I think I'm going to put this as a... I mean, the where I would put the employment, there are certain decks that are interesting with it. One of the decks that's interesting with it, we have if you're in black, this is going to be a very good card. So we saw multiple sacrifice effects in black that would make this a very, very good card. We have Judy, right? Create tokens, copy this creature. You could sacrifice the creature that you stole here with Jet's brainwashing. That's not thematic at all. Here, right? June can also sacrifice another creature and create a clue token. So there are definitely decks that can really use this card very, very well. In addition to it just being a fine, trick and to end the game, etc. Or just to get closer, like you can be like, okay, you can't block this turn because I really need that clue token. I need to draw a card. I'm flooding, etc. So it's just, I think this is a versatile card. I think it's probably a B- or a B, but it seems useful. And there are definitely decks that can make it go. You're going to be wanting to get that a lot higher. Lightning strike, you just take. No, just kidding. This one's going to be a B+. It's good removal. It targets face as well. It's very thematic for this set. So, yeah. It also makes, so there I was wondering if there was a card like this and how many there were, because we definitely saw a 5/3 earlier. And I was like, well, the presence of a lightning strike will make this card worse or better. And how many types of 3 damage spells there are. So far, there's not that many that we've seen. Unless you spend like 5 mana, which is an okay trade. But I think in black there was a 5/3, I want to say. No. 4/3 here. That was interesting. That thing does kill a lot of stuff anyway, no matter what it did. I was just thinking of the -5 minus right here. But yeah, so this thing kills a lot. I'm really happy with that card. Again, it's a B+. It's a good pick. Good removal. It's what red gets these days. My Jaded Edge, 2 mana, 1/3 prowess. Exhaust put a double strike counter on this. Okay. Again, prowess is a thing. This is a noble. We've seen noble, like the sisters, Lo and Lee. They care about nobles and they give them lifelink. So that's pretty interesting. Lesson spells also have lifelink. So notably, this is not a lesson. So, and it is dealing damage. Does not gain you life. This, however, does. If you have Lo and Lee in play. So, worth considering. So this card, Prowess 1/3. We've had Prowess 1/3 before. I don't think I'm not spelling this correctly. Hold on. So, red. I already put that in, but yeah. Kenra spell thingy. Kenra spell Nimbleblade. So Nimbleblade Kenra is exactly this card. However, Kenra is not legendary. This is. And this does have the exhaust to do the double strike. So as long as you're pretty dedicated spells deck, this is a great card. And opponents, the best part about the prowess decks, especially like the 1/3s, is this card is something that your opponent always has to think about. It's a mental strain on your opponent because they always have to go, oh, can I block that, right? Without losing my creature, or can I attack into that without losing my creature? It's a really cool stat line because it's not terribly threatening, right? As a 1/3, but you can really make it something they have to consider. Being able to put a double strike on this counter on this, and off your like firebending abilities, etc., is a really interesting thing. So, and we have seen some equipment that pumps. We've seen +1/+1 counters in black. So there's definitely some craziness to this card that's possible. You need to do a little bit, but it's fine. I'm going to give it a B for now instead of a B+, because it requires some doing. But I fully expect this card to do some stuffs. Mongoose Lizard. Okay, so this is the Mountain Cycler. Yeah. Okay, these are always going to be playable. They're always going to be around probably a C+. They can make it up to a B-, depending. Because we did have that, like, return it to the battlefield, the recursion spell in the black, that does make them a little bit better because you can guarantee a creature in your graveyard that's worth getting back for 5 mana. So by mountain cycling, make sure you hit the lands. Again, they're not super exciting for the cost you have to pay, but they seem fine. Usually one or the other is going to be a little bit stronger than them than the others as we mentioned. So for example, the red land cycler in Final Fantasy was not as strong as the others. So just and the white, I think. The Moogle was not quite as strong as the other. Yeah, the other ones were much better, but Balam T-Rexor was one of the best. Okay. Price of Freedom. Destroy target artifact or land an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Draw a card. So we've now seen multiple land destruction spells. First was non-basic, I think. Here. Non-basic land. And now we've seen this, which makes me a little bit worried. Interesting. So we definitely had effects like this before. Absolutely. And sometimes landfall decks wanted them. They were usually in Zendikar, etc. For the you know, its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put onto the battlefield for this part. And then draw a card. You can kill an earthbent land. Yeah, it isn't only opponent controls in this case. You can kill an earthbent land. And they get a basic land card. Now, the earthbent land will just go back onto the battlefield tapped. I'm pretty sure. If I've read this right. I'm not absolutely certain. Hold on. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it comes back into play tap. So you're just netting them also another basic land there. But at least you're getting rid of a creature with counters on it. And then you get to draw a card. So it cantrips and it's a lesson. So that's very relevant. The destroy target artifact is also decently relevant. We've only really seen a couple that I would want to destroy. Like the Fire Nation Trebuchet. I definitely would want to destroy that. Destroy target artifact there. And then we also saw the equipment in white. The glider staff. That's perfectly fine to destroy. So the shatter part of it. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, shatter. Oh god. What did I walk into? All right. So, let's go shatter. And Curse 30th edition. So, so the shatter effect is the destroy target artifact part of this. The fact that this cantrips, the fact that it triggers prowess, the fact that it is a lesson, and a lesson in the graveyard is perfectly fine. I think I like this card and enough to play it. Like in best of one, a one of, that's fine. So and I'm a little worried about the lands that I'm gonna need to destroy besides the earthbent ones. We'll see. It's possible we could take an opponent off of a color if they didn't add a basic land in addition to whatever fixing land they put in there. But I'm gonna go with a C plus for this one for now. But it could go up. We'll see. Rough Rhino Cavalry, 5 mana. I don't think it's going down, so to speak. Rough Rhino Cavalry, 5 mana, 5/5. That's a fine ROI. Firebending 2, okay. Exhaust 8. Put 2+1/+1 counters on this. It gains trample until only end of turn. Okay. For 8 mana, it becomes a 7/7 trample until end of turn. Well, it stays a 7/7, but loses the trample after the end of the turn. And the firebending can help you do that, so technically you only need 6. So on turn 5, you can have a 5/5. On turn 6, you could technically attack with this and then do this mid-combat. Or at least threaten it. That's not bad. I think I'm going to give it a C+. It's perfectly playable. Solstice Revelations, 3 mana, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You can cast that card without paying its mana cost. If the spell's mana value is less than the number of... Oh, okay. Of mountains you control. If you don't cast that card this way, put it into your hand. So this is one of the sequence. We've seen a sequence for every single color, like Gather the White Lotus for plains, right? We've seen... In blue, we've seen the artifact, Waterbending Scroll. And in black, we saw the Corrupt... Gator. And then now we have this red. This looks to me to be a great constructed card. Like I think this is going to do crazy things in constructed, especially in EDH. well, not crazy, but really nice. In this, I think definitely if you're a heavy red deck, you can absolutely play this card, especially if you have any lesson synergies. But you still get to draw the cards. Just 3 mana to draw a card is a little bit interesting. But the thing is, it does get you guarantee you a non-land card. So you aren't going to hit like just a random card from the top of your library because you're not going to get a land. So you know that you're at least going to get some gas out of this. So it's interesting. I feel like this is a B-. I feel like it's actually something I definitely want to try out, even if I'm not into super heavy red. But I could be overvaluing it. Tiger Dillo. The White Lotus Liberation of Boston. I don't know. Roast beef. 2 mana, 4th. What? Okay. Hold on, I gotta read this. Okay. Cat Armadillo. This creature can't attack or block unless you control another creature power 4. Ah. There's the rub. Okay. Oh, there's the rub. Okay. We'll see how easy that is to do. How many creatures with power 4 or greater in this, I wonder? Do we have any 3 mana 4/2s from like the black? 4/3 for 4, not awful. You could crew it and then sorry. This could get to 4 pretty quickly. This is a 4 mana one. It's not. It's still meh. So what occurs to me is you could probably get. I think the best version of this would be probably this deck. Like you play that on 2 and then you play a lesson or so and put this out, then attack. Or this one. Where's the 2 mana one? Benevolent River Spirit. Because the tiger can absolutely help you water bend. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I don't know how I feel about this one. I really don't know where to rank this yet. It really depends on a lot of the set. Like, especially whether you can afford to take turn 2 sort of off. Because you're not going to block or attack with it. So, likely on turn 3 necessarily. So, interesting. People do have to worry about it later. I'm going to give it a B-, but I think I'm really terrified of certain decks with it. All right. Treetop Freedom Fighters. 3 mana, 2/1 haste. When it enters, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. Okay, that's nice. Again, 2 bodies. 1 with haste, pretty sweet. But the 2 bodies with both allies is really nice. So again, the red-white goes very, very wide in this so far. And I have seen a bunch of mass pump in both the white and the red now with the +2 so sort of trumpet thing. Cool. Okay. Again, perfectly playable. C+/B-. Could end up being B- because it's just, I mean, we need those allies. And those bodies. Twin Blades. Flash, 3 mana. When it enters, attach it to target creature control. That creature can... Oh, God. Okay. This is gonna end my life so many games. So double strike and +1/+1 is pretty sweet. For a free equip on 3. Because it has flash, this is something you can use fire bending to cast and equip, like, and then you just equip it by attaching. Not equip. not the actual active equipment because that's only a sorcery, but you just get to attach it. So that's pretty sweet. I like that. I think it's a B. Could end up being a B plus. I need to see how many combats. Again, you win by +1/+1. +1/+1 and first strike is really, really nice, and +1/+1 double strike can definitely make something trade really well. So I do like these quite a bit. It's just I'm really not sure whether to put them at B plus on that. I think it might be. For now, I'm going to give it a B. I'm going to try. I like to rate things just slightly lower just in case. I'd rather not overestimate them. I'd rather underestimate them than overestimate them, we'll say. Ty Lee. Okay, 3 mana, 3/2 prowess. Whenever it attacks, you can pay 1. When you do, target creature can't block this turn. That's pretty gross. So notably, this triggers only once when she attacks. So you can't pay 2 and have 2 target creatures not block. That's just something to keep in mind. But that's a very powerful effect on a creature with prowess. To make sure that their best blocker can't block. That's pretty sweet. You fear redirect lightning. Baby version of Evercleave. Yeah, sort of. I think in limited this is going to be gross. Like I said, it could definitely be the B plus stuffs. I have to know how many how much +1/+1 goes. Because for example, like if you go, if there's the 5/5 on the battlefield, right? And you attack in with this lovely little 2/1, right? The +1/+1 and double strike is just going to make them trade. It's not going to be enough to actually win that combat, which is a nice trade so far. And then you can re-equip it to this. But remember the double strike is only until end of turn. You don't get to keep the double strike later. It's not as though this equipment gives double strike. It's only until end of turn. So that's really important. I'm just trying to evaluate based on what I know. I need to see more creatures with trample, and then obviously this will be great in Gruul if there's a lot of green creatures with trample. So or menace creatures potentially that can this can blow out a menace. Using a menace creature with this can definitely blow out a block. But yeah, so I just if it gave double strike all the time, then it would be absolutely stupid. Yeah. I'm not really sure why it doesn't. Maybe just be too strong, but it's twin blades. An equipped creature gets +1/+1. At least make it +2/+2, because for 1 for each sword. Like, it's probably too strong to do that, but it's not very thematic with the +1/+1, right? And gains double strike only until end of turn. Anyway, sorry, I'm being nitpicky. But yeah, I like this card. I think this one's a because it has 2 toughness and there's 2 different shock type effects for creatures. And then the 3 damage. I'm a little bit worried about this one. For 3 mana for a 3/2. I'm still gonna give it a B plus. I think it's a very, very strong card. In the aggressive decks especially, but also in the spell decks. So, okay. War Balloon. Three mana, 4/3 flying. 1 to put a fire counter on the... What? Okay. 1 to put a fire counter on this vehicle. As long as this vehicle has 3 or more fire counters on it, it's an artifact creature. Okay, so you can make it into an artifact creature. Okay, got it. So this is something to spend your fire bending mana on if you have nothing else. So that's pretty cool. You can turn it into a 4/3 all the time. It is crew 3, which is a very expensive crew cost. But we have been looking for things that have crew costs that you can tap things down to, because we do have a bunch of things that tap down for profit. So like the little duders up here, Compassionate Healer, right? Gain 1 life, scry 1. So this isn't bad. I'm gonna give it a B. It's fine. But it may enable a lot of things. The 4/3 flyer is pretty good. Maybe maybe it's a B plus still. I don't. Yeah. So that's effectively, if you have to fully spend that on actual lands, it's 6 mana for a 4/3 flyer. But if you can use the fire breathing counters, fire bending counters. I still say fire breathing. Sorry, it's too close. It's too close to fire breathing. Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see how it plays out. So I stick by my normal grade there. Okay. I'm gonna give a B. Yeah. Yuyan Archers, 2 mana, 3/1 reach. When this creature enters, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So it's a rummaging creature, a creature that enters and rummages. It's reach 3/1. We've seen multiple versions of that. I think Bro had a 3/1 reacher that was 2 mana. And then obviously in OTJ, we had a 2/2 that rummaged when it entered the battlefield, an outlaw. So this is sort of a combination of the two. So you get an extra effect. It does have 1 toughness, notably, which means it doesn't block little ally tokens very well, but it may trade up against a reach creature, like a flyer like this. So I still think it has some utility. I also tend to like these in this type of effect, the rummage in best of 1 in red, when I don't have other draw effects and various things like that, especially so that I can fix my opening hands. So if Farina is determined to like mana screw or flood me, what I can do is discard an extra land or discard an extra spell in hopes of making sure that my curve plays out pretty well. So I actually am more fond of these cards than some people would be. I think it was like a peddler, was it? Yeah, Discerning Peddler was the OTJ one. Like I ran this card because it had a relevant creature type and it would fix my hand. That was the main thing. I wasn't too unhappy to run that as just a 2-drop. So for this, again, it doesn't block the little 1/1 ally tokens, but hopefully you can trade up. It doesn't feel like a very aggressive card. It actually feels like a more controlling card, which is weird. Even though it's a 3/1, you might be able to get in with it a couple times. I don't think it's that likely. I think there's a lot of early drops in this, and the board will get a little bit ooky. You won't want to trade that for a 1/1 token. So this is just interesting. I'm not sure about this card. There are +1/+1 counters in the black, so that is actually really worth understanding. So at least there's ways to pump it, there's ways to do stuff with it, but because of the versatility of this ability in best of 1, I probably will be like not too unhappy to run this card. So it's a C+, it's fine. But that's my feelings on that one. So 4 mana, 4/3, fire bending 3, exile the top card of your library. You can play that card this turn. Okay, so whenever it attacks, you get to exile the top card of your library and play that card this turn. That's a really nice way to draw further into gas. I do like that it is thematically fairly opposite to this, which is pretty cool. They're both 4 mana, 4/3s, and they both have fire bending. This one is firebending 3. And this says firebending 2. The interesting part about Azula is you do lose 1 life, but you can actually use this to crack the clue token and draw a card instantly. Whereas this is just going to exile, and if you don't play it, you lose it. It's just interesting. The fact that it firebends 3 does, is actually quite important, not just for its own ability, though, because you have other things that can do, like this war balloon here, right? So I do like, with Azula, it was a B+ here, but it might actually be, I might have to, I'm going to do this one B+ as well. And it's going to be interesting which one's stronger in actual draft. I am so interested to see how this goes head to head thematically. All right. So we're going to start the green in a minute, but I got to get more tea. And from there, what else do we have? Like how many, actually, I'll look at the other place. I don't want to scroll this one. So Allies at Last is going to be the first one. What do we have here? How many more after the green? So we've got the golds. That's a lot of gold. Oh, God. And some artifacts. Okay, the artifacts are short. So, okay. Oh, it does look like we have... Oh. Interesting. Why are you sacrificing Kyoshi Village? You evil jerk. Oh, I don't like that they did this thematically. This makes no sense. Bye bye Omashu. I wanted a card. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway. All right, we'll come back to that. Okay, at least those are brief. So like I think I can make it through this. I think I can actually make it. I think my voice can make it through this. I'm so sorry about the gross noises, but I am excited to go through this. Okay. All right, I just need to go get more water and tea. Be right back. So it'll be about like 2 minutes. And then let me know what you think about the red so far. If you were here, especially if you were here for yesterday for the full Esper colors, the white, black, and white, blue, and black. So and how you think it compares, and which colors you think it combines best with. Yay. Okay. All right. So. Ooh, no response to that. That's fine. We just want to get right into it. This is fine. Okay. Whew. Okay. Allies at last. Oh, interesting. 3 mana, instant, affinity for allies, so 1 less for each ally you control. Up to 2 target creatures you control each deal damage equal to power to target creature no opponent controls. Okay. So, so one of the original versions of this was band together. Up to 2 target creatures you control each deal damage equal to power to another target creature. This one you could target your own creatures if you wish to. But this is only in a creature and opponent control. So if if you have a stab wound on a creature and you want to be killing your own creature, too bad. Generally that's not going to happen that much and that frequently in limited, so I'm not really worried about that. But here we go. So this is affinity for allies though, so it can cost up to 2 less, right? So it may only cost 1 green. This effect is traditionally quite good. It's what green gets. It says up to 2, so you don't need exactly 2. Just like this did. It allows green to a couple of those green creatures to kill something much larger. But it's often, and at instant speed it's pretty nice. Again, this will combo with red pretty well because of firebending. You can use this to do that. Red notably though isn't really that much of an ally color as that we've seen. We've seen some allies, just not that many. We've seen some nobles, but we've seen this specifically as an ally. The poops out 2. That's been the main one that I was noticing as like something that I was very excited to play as an ally. Most of the other stuff is and this one I was gonna say was fine. But that one's less aggressive overall, I think. This one here. But yeah, it's interesting. So again, fewer allies in this than in the other colors, I think, that we were caring about. So while you can combine this allies at last pretty well with a firebending deck, just because you can cast off the firebending mana, you won't get the you don't necessarily need the allies to make it cheaper. So that's just interesting. It's a good removal spell. It's going to be taken early. So this is a B+. It's just a good removal spell for green. It helps to ensure that you actually can take out whatever you need to take out by punching it. Badger Mole, 5 mana 4/4, but you also, one of your lands is going to be a 2/2 as well. And creatures you control with +1 counter on them have trample. Okay. So we saw a lot of +1/+1 counters in black specifically before this. That was the main thing we saw +1/+1 counters in, although we did see occasional ones in white. This itself does not have trample. Yeah. Okay. So here is where I admit fully. Yes, every earthbend creature, like I said, yeah. The earthbend creatures get trample, and again, we also seen +1/+1 counters able to be given by other colors, the black and the white specifically. But here's where I admit fully that I don't know yet how to value earthbend. And I think I'll have to see how it plays. Because again, risking lands is always interesting. It's less of a risk because again, when they die, they come back tapped, but it feels it feels a little wonky. So we'll see. We'll see how it actually goes. I like this card just fine overall. I think it's a C+. It's perfectly playable. A 5-mana 4/4 stat in green, not that exciting, but if you consider that you're getting 6 power over 2 bodies, I'm assuming that you play it on 5. The land will be tapped that has a 2/2, so it won't matter, but if you happen to be playing it on 6, you can get an attacker for 2 on turn 6. Again, not that exciting. And a 2/2, right? I have a question. And it's weird that I hadn't thought to ask this right now. Can you target a land creature that's already been earthbent? Because it's still a land. It's just already a creature. Can you put these counters on an already earthbent creature? Does anybody know? I would assume you can. There doesn't seem to be... The rules that, as I understand them, seem to allow it. So if you have an earthbent 2/2 and you earthbend 3 onto it, you could have an earthbent 5/5 land. I think that's the way it might work. I'm gonna read up on that, but I think that might be it. I bet it's in the release notes. No, show me the... Oh my god. Usually the release notes have the... Usually the release notes have the archetypes, definitely, but they also have the mechanics, and they explain... Arneo, do you know if we can earthbend onto a previously earthbent land? It looks like you can. I just don't want to say for sure yet. Because it just says target land, and the earthbent land is a land and a creature still. Yeah, I don't see anything in that the way this is worded to suggest otherwise. I'm just trying to see if they actually did the... Oh, that's annoying. Okay, I'm gonna look up earthbend. Hold on. Okay, this should do it. All right. Yeah, it would say target non-creature land, right? Yeah. This doesn't say. But I think that means that they... Yeah. I'm gonna confidently state that you can do that. So that's actually interesting. Because if we play this on 6, we can earthbend 2 on something that was a 3/3, so attack for 5 with trample. That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm still giving this a C+. It could graduate to B-, but that's interesting. The earthbend is... So, because if you can do this, and I'm pretty sure you can, I think the earthbend is much more powerful then. Much more. Because if you had to target a different land and keep doing that, that would have been rough. That's rough, buddy. Sorry. All right, so yeah, so we go for that. Boulder, the boulder. Ready to rumble. All right. Whenever it attacks Earth, so 4 mana 4/4, already decent stats. Whenever the boulder attacks, Earthbend X, where X is the number of creatures you control power 4 or greater, so it would be 1 if it's just boulder. Thank you, Sexy Samurai! Sorry, I'm asking everybody this. Can you Earthbend onto a land that's already Earthbent? We think yes, but we're still waiting to hear. I just want to make sure that I'm not misleading anybody. I'm pulling the tea now. Ah, it's hot. Okay. Okay. I like Boulder. Boulder's good. This suggests definitely, right? Because then you could just keep adding earthbending onto that land. I really feel like you can. I want to rate this a B+. I like this card. You can earthbend the same land? Okay. Confidently. Do you know what? Do you have a source for that? Or like, is that just your interpretation is the same as ours? No, I'm not trying to, like... That's the same as intuition as ours. It just says target land. The earthbent, thing is already a land and a creature, so it's still a land that can be targeted. So I'm assuming that you can just keep making a bigger and bigger land. So, I mean, I like this card. Boomy! One of my favorites. 6 mana, 4/4. That's a lot, so let's see what we get. What stream? Oh, Tolarian Academy said? Okay, good. Thank goodness. Oh, the MTG stream when they spoiled Avatar? Perfect. Okay, so we are correct in our assertion. All right. That does make earthbending more powerful, so I'm really happy about that. So, all right. Arr. Graveyard Hate would be able... At instant speed, you absolutely can. It dies, so it has to hit the graveyard. You can exile in response. In theory. Because this is a trigger here, I think, when it dies. When it dies, you get the return it to battlefield. Okay, so when it enters, choose up to X, where X is the number of lesson cards in your graveyard. Okay, yeah. The 3 lessons, the 3 trials. Okay. So 6 mana, 4/4. If you have lessons in your graveyard, this is good. If you don't have lessons in your graveyard, that's bad. But again, 33 or so lessons that are common and uncommon, thereabouts. Seems like you're going to be able to do this. I don't think I want more than 1. I think I'm going to give it a B or but like it could be super freaking powerful if you have enough. Like again, it'll go up as you get enough, you know, lessons, it'll go up. I think I'm going to give it a B for now instead of a B+, just because I don't want that many in the deck. All right, Cycle of Renewal, 3 mana, sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. All right. So it's not Harrow, for sure. Because Harrow doesn't put them into play tapped. Harrow just puts them onto the battlefield. So I guess for the fact that this is a relevant spell type lesson, you lose the fact that they come into play. Okay. Untapped. So, okay. So these come into play tapped. It's a way to ramp. It's a way to get a land in the graveyard. I'm not sure whether we have land in the graveyard payoffs that much, but yeah. It's similar to this principle. Only again, you can tap the 2 that come into play from this that same turn. Guess that probably would have been too strong with the lesson subtype. Again, this is a way to fix your mana. If you do it with an earthbent land, no land in the yard. Yeah, but then you lose a creature as well. I mean, if you're earthbending 1, we haven't seen like that many earthbent 1s like for 1 mana early. Like then I'd consider it. I mean, it's fine. So the way I could see that is if your earthbent land was under an enchantment, like the ones that we've seen in before. So if I go to white, if your earthbent land was under the pacifism, the path to redemption, or if your earthbent land was what? Huh. Ah. Got it. Yay. Walnut. Watery Grasp. So I guess if your land is under either of those, then sure. But I don't see it as particularly valuable to lose something with +1/+1 counters on it already that could get earthbent further to do that. So this is really just add a land to the battle. So again, it's just ramp for 1, basically. Ramp an additional land. It is a lesson though, that's important. I think I'm gonna go for a C+ on this. I have to see more about synergies, etc. for landfall and sacrificing, etc. All right, Earth Kingdom General, 4 mana, 2/2, and Earthbend 2. Whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature, you may gain that much life. Do this only once each turn. So this is a 4 mana 2/2 that makes another 2/2 that gains 2 life. That's not bad. And then whenever you earthbend in the future or put +1/+1 counters on it on things via the White Shrine or the black cards that put +1/+1 counters, you are going to be gaining 1 or more life depending on how many counters you put. That's not bad. And it's 4 mana across 2 bodies. I like this card. I'm gonna give this a B+. The life gain's kind of incidental here. I haven't seen any life gain synergies as such. But it's an ally, relevant creature type, 2 bodies, and again, just another sort of fun thing here. All right, Earth Rumble. Okay, sorry. 4 mana Earthbend 2. When you do, up to 1 target creature you control fights target creature an opponent controls. Alright, so it's Hunt the Weak without a +1/+1 counter, but you do Earthbend 2, so if you have a already Earthbent land, that can be a bigger land to fight, or you can fight with something else you control. And you don't have to fight it, you can just Earthbend 2 in desperation, I guess. Alright, okay. I'm going to... So it's removal, so it is still a fight. I'm going and with a 2 body, so that's probably okay. I'm gonna give it a B. I think it could graduate to a B+. Definitely. If I but I'm certainly not as excited about as I am the band together type card up at the top. the allies at last, as far as a removal spell. But that could change again. Like, I still need to see more earthbend. Oh, okay. Another earthbending lesson. So this is a 4/4/4/4 on one of your lands. And again, if you then do this on 5, so then that's a 6 power fighting. Not bad. Notably, this isn't a lesson, but this is. Okay. Yeah, just a useful card. This is C+. It's a perfectly fine playable card. Like it. It's a lesson, makes a 4/4. Okay. Flopsy! This better be good. I loved Flopsy. 6 mana 4/4. When it enters, put a +1 counter on each creature you control. Each one. So it's a 5/5. And then each creature. Okay. I like Flopsy. I like Flopsy a lot. Okay. Each creature we control with power 4 or greater can't be blocked by more than one creature. Excellent. Okay, I don't want really a lot of these in my deck. I think 2 is the max. But I really like this card. I'm gonna go with a... I mean, again, I'm gonna go with B+. I think, it's the first one's A-, I think, but the second one is probably a B or B+. So that's a really cool card. I'm so glad it's good. Have I seen the blue creature girlfriend that turns into the moon? Yue? Is it blue only? I don't think we saw a Yue in the blue only, so we haven't gotten to that yet. But Yue and Emrakul are best buddies in the moon. That's the story I'm going with. They're having girls' night all the time. Alright, Foggy Swamp Vinebender. 4 mana 4/3. This creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. It does appear that, I mean, I haven't seen like 3 mana 4/2s that much at all. I don't think if at all. So I think the red creature that we saw, 4/3. This Tiger Dillo, I think it will be able to attack on 4 pretty, or block on 4 pretty regularly. I'm not sure it's going to be able to do that on 3. It's going to be interesting. And I don't know how that alters my perspective of it. I think 4 is a decent time to still be able to attack with a 4/3. That you just... It's just sort of like putting it on layaway on 2. So I just need to figure out... I think it's the same conclusion that I drew before, which I don't think I'm advising it here based on this. I think it's just, you know, if I can afford to take a turn 2 off in this format just to play something that's not attacking or blocking, then I'm definitely playing this card heavily. Because I think on 4 I can generally get... as long as I'm in... you know, obviously more red and green, I can, and maybe even black, I can get the 4 power pretty regularly on 4. I think white and blue would be a little bit harder. All right. 4 mana 4/3 can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Okay. And then Waterbend 5, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, activate only during your turn. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, C+. It's perfectly playable, just not exciting. Nice. I think I actually like this slightly better, but that's close. Haru, Hidden Talent. 2 mana 1/1. Whenever another ally you could... Oh, sexy. Okay. Nice. I like that one. I like that one. Okay. So, all right. So we've got a 1/1 ally, but it has the ETB whenever it enters Earthbend 1. So you can just start making a land really, really giant, or you can make multiple lands, you know, do things. Remember, there is a Wrath in this format. We just saw it by mistake because we saw the black before I eliminated the rares and mythics from it because we were doing this. Okay. So, but your lands will come back into play tapped. It's just, yeah. Okay, I like this card. This is a very good card for the ally deck in particular. If the allies aren't open, how do I feel about that? How many allies? 1, 2, 3. 3 so far already in green at the common and uncommon level. And we've seen multiple ways of producing multiple allies in white, and then at least one way of producing multiple allies for one card in red. Okay. I'm gonna rank this as a... I mean, the Iros... Oh god, that Iros card, I am really glad we ranked that so highly. The 4 damage or the 1 damage to each creature your opponents control, that's gonna be very good. I'm gonna put this at a B... I want to say B+, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna say B+ for now. I'm gonna say B+ for now. Invasion Tactics, 5 mana. With its enters, creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Whenever one or more allies you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Dang! Okay. So that's another really good way to mass pump the go wide white strategy. And then also to draw further into your deck, because the white strategy go wide is mostly allies. So, and then it's also just a good way to draw cards. The trample that we saw is going to be really useful for that, or making it difficult to block with other evasion types things. The Badger Mole is going to be interesting, especially with the although the Badger Mole, the +1 count is usually on the earthbending things, so it's not as much allies. Yeah, this one's going to be an interesting card. I don't know how to rank this just yet. +2/+2 across the board for 5 is not bad. It doesn't give trample, so it is more like the was it Overwhelming Stampede that did the 2/2? No, that's the rare. All right, let's try Stampede and see if that actually had what I'm thinking of. Probably not, but okay. There was a +2/+2 for 5 in one of the... Was it Amonkhet? One of those things? Anyway, +2/+2 for 5. It didn't give trample. Obviously, Overrun is a hell of a drug, and that's not what this is. This doesn't give trample, and it doesn't give +3/+3. A mass pump on +2/+2, even for 5 mana on the go wide white strategy that we saw, should be really powerful. And then if it doesn't end the game, at least it gives you card advantage. It only is 1 or more allies, so you're not going to draw multiple cards. It's just, if you hit with multiple allies, it's just going to be 1. That does impact it a little bit. I'm still going to give this a, B-, I think. Yeah, so I think I'm going to give this a B-, and that's just because it needs to go in a certain deck in particular to be super good. And you need a little bit of stuff for that, because I don't think the really big green decks want this. Like, they're just not that impressed with it. I think it's really for the go wide strategies, and so you really do need in particular deck to maximize this. Kyoshi Island Plaza, 4 mana shrine. Oh, here's the green shrine. Okay. Enter, search your library for up to X basic land cards where X is in the blah. Put the cards on the battlefield and shuffle. Whenever another shrine you control enters, search your library for a basic land card. Put on. Okay, so 4 mana to look up 1. You know, again, we want to always treat the shrines as the worst case scenario of, is this a good card on its own? Because again, you might put a ton of cards in like shrines in your deck, and unfortunately, you may not draw them. And they are legendary, so if you draw 2 of the same, sucks for you. So I don't really like this one. 4 mana to search for 1, and let's assume we get a second one. 4 mana to search for 2 is okay, but we'd have to wait for it unless we already had that shrine in play. So again, I'll take this if I already have a bunch of shrines and if I have the fixing to be able to play multiple colors. But I'm not going to really heavily prioritize it. And that might be an interesting thing about shrines, is like, they're not really great unless you really have multiple and you really have the mana to make them work. So this is going to be interesting. I still think a lot of people are going to try and make them work early, so it might be worth staying away from them in the beginning and draft, but sealed might be fun. And I don't know if sealed is going to be any slower. Some of these days the sealed is just as fast, if not, worse than the draft. I believe it will see it, and you'll choose which one and sacrifice, but the ETB will still occur. Nobody. So yes, technically you can get one bit of value off of it. That's if you play the second. That is a very good point. I still don't think it's worth to play 4 mana for 1 land and then 4 mana for 2 lands again. Like, that's 8 mana for 3 lands. I don't really like it. Across multiple turns. I don't really like it, but, you know, to each their own. But it is a really good point, nobody, to be able to say that, okay, yeah, you're gonna have to sacrifice one, but you'll get the trigger. So, again, worth thinking about there. I think I'm gonna give this a C. But again, factor that into how many other shrines, how much fixing, how slow is the format, etc. Oh crap. This broke my heart. I can't really look at it without wanting to cry. I'm in a fragile state. I'm already sick and like feeling ugh. So, and sad. So, oh man. This scene broke me. Let's get through it quickly. Okay. Mill 3 cards, then create a food token. I'm going to try not to think about what this actually, like how this parallels, how the story that the card tells through its mechanics works with the series. So basically the Ludo narrative. Okay. So, 3 cards, create a food token for 2 mana. All right. Milling 3 cards, remember, gets those lessons into your graveyard, so that's pretty cool. Again, we also have an uncommon reanimation spell, so that's not awful either to do that. Food tokens are fun. She says. Put a plus almost encounter each of up to 2 target creatures you control. Okay. Draw a card if there's a creature or lesson card in your graveyard. I think if you're very much into lesson synergies in the graveyard, this is a good card for you. I'm not sure. The 2 counters on each of up to 2 card creatures you control can be planned around, and your opponent can sort of make that a problem. 2 mana to create a food token, assuming that the milling 3 cards isn't as that important. You're definitely going to get to draw a card on the 3rd. I think this is a fine saga. I'm not particularly excited about it. I think I'm going to give it a B-, but perfectly playable. And I'm going to move on. Perfectly playable. It's fine. It's good. I just, ooh, okay. For 2 mana, that's a decent amount of value. Origin of Metal Bending. Oh, I liked that scene. That was fun. 2 mana, lesson, destroy target artifact or enchantment, or... Yeah, if you cast it on turn 2, it is unlikely that you will have put 2 creatures into play by turn 3 to put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. So it's a good point that you're not really curving out using this card. So it is better to play a little later at least. All right. So artifact or enchantment destruction, that's really important. This is also a lesson in of itself. That's very important too. Artifact or enchantment destruction is actually really, really, really key because we do have the shrines, some of which we do want to destroy. We also have enchantment-based removal in the form of the like Hard Day's Work or Hard Labor. It was Hard Day's Work, I think it was, or Honest Work. That was what it was. And the blue spell that doesn't tap things down but keeps them tapped. And then the white pacifism. And then I think there was one more, but that's pretty sweet. There were a couple equipment and some vehicles that we'd like to destroy. But put a +1/+1. So the idea that you can also get the choice of putting a +1/+1 counter on target creature and gaining indestructible. That's really nice. This is a really versatile card. I will absolutely be running at least one of these in every like best of 1 deck possible. Um, so yeah, seems good. I like it. I'm gonna give it a B minus. I'm more excited about it than many of the C plus cards. I don't necessarily need too many of them, but it's a fun one. Okay. So it's like EOE had a similar effect as well, so that's a fun one. Protection surge thing, what forget what it was. It's green. Nope. That's Tef's. It's not Gaia's gift, obviously. That's way better than what we had in the EOE, but really want to know what the name of this card was. It got me so many times. I should remember it. Biosynthetic Burst, yeah. It was Reach, Trample, and Indestructible. So much better. And Untap it. Like, so much better. As far as that particular section of it. But the fact that you can also choose to destroy target artifact or enchantment is very relevant in this. There's also that artifact, the Trebuchet, that I really would like to destroy if that comes against me. In best of 1 and in best of 3, you can always put this as a sideboard if they have a ton of removal and or a ton of artifacts and enchantments. If they're not running any, then you can run something else. Ostrich Horse. 3 mana, 3/1. When it enters, mill 3 cards. You can put a land card from among them into your hand. If you don't, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Okay. At 3 mana, I'm a little bit less excited about that card than I have been about various things like the town duder guy. Where'd it go? Town greeter. And all the other iterations of this card. So an Einok, whatever it is, the one from Tarkir Dragonstorm, where again you're on 2, you're milling 4 cards or 3 cards, and you can put a land from among them into your hand. I'm less excited about this on 3 than I am on those on 2. So this Wayfarer I think is way better than this Ostrich Horse. However, we have had the 3 mana versions, the like Pothole Mole here, right? I mean, it's a 2/3 for this, so it's similar overall stats. And on 3. I think probably the fact that they did that means this is a slightly slower format. I don't know. So if the Snake Horse is a Snorse, is this a Borse? I have no clue. That art is pretty cool. It's interesting how they got, the artist did, so the blur of the bushes is as though you were, you know, focused on it, and send, yeah, that's pretty cool. For the speed of the Ostrich Horse. That's cool. I think I'm probably going to be running this because it is useful to make sure that I hit my land drops. Of course, when I do run it, I will mill 3 cards and there won't be any lands in them, but let's just move on from there. It's this one, then we have our first 3 mana 4/2 that does make the Tiger Dillo better, I suppose. Because you can choose not to get a land card from them, and then you can Tiger Dillo into Ostrich Horse and attack for 4 on turn 3. It's okay. It does look rather Chocobo-like. You're correct. I mean, it is esque. Chocobo-esque. All right. Pillar launch. +2/+2 and gains reach. Untap it. We've had lots of effects like this. They tend to be only okay. They can definitely get people. If your deck is weak to flyers, you absolutely want to run it. +2/+2, again, we have to see exactly what the proportion of creatures is, such that we see whether the differential means that we win combat more frequently with +2/+2 to make this worth it. But yeah, untap it is actually key here because of water bending. So that's actually really interesting because you can get somebody with this pretty well, and it is actually useful to be able to use something for water bending costs and then also be able to untap. So just like with the Amonkhet exertion, right? Untapping things here is pretty good with the water bending. So I'm interested in this. It's perfectly playable. It's gonna be a C, but like it's playable. Raucous Audience, 2 mana, 2/1, add 1 green. If you control a creature power 4 or greater, add 2 green. Okay, so it's a mana dork on 2, and it's a 2/1. Doesn't block the little ally tokens very well, but it is a ramper. I'll still be happy to play it. I'm gonna give it a C+/B-. There's a chance it's a B-. Again, the presence of that burn spell really makes me not like the 1 toughness creatures at all. I just know I'm gonna be blown out by this card so frequently if I try to go with a wide strategy, but there we are. All right, Rebellious Captives, 2 mana, 2/2, and you can exhaust for 6, 2 counters, then Earthbend 2, so you get roughly 4 power for 6 on the exhaust. I mean, it's good early and good late because of the versatility here. The ally, it's fine. When you have nothing else to spend your mana on, your firebending mana you can use your firebending mana to cast this, so that's pretty cool. It's a perfectly playable card. Again, C+, it's perfectly fine. Rockalanche, 3 mana, Earthbend X, where X is the number of forest you control. Okay, so here's the final piece of those basic land things. X is the number of forest you control. It's a lot easier to ramp into forests, so I think this is a stronger card a lot of the time than some of the others, even in a double colored deck, because when you're ramping, you can choose the basic lands that you're getting, so you can get the forests. It's a lesson. It has flashback utility, so yeah, I like this one. I'm gonna go with a B. But I think it could have a much higher ceiling. All right, Rocky Rebuke, 2 mana, target creature. Oh, it's another rebuke. Deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So this is one of the weaker versions that we've seen of this, and it doesn't even have the lesson cost, the lesson type. We've actually seen some really silly, this is the best version I've ever seen of the punch spell. The bite spell, I should say. The bite spell, 2 mana, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power 2. Here we just have creature. We've had various times where it's creature or planeswalker. This is the only time where we've had another option, which is creature, planeswalker, or battle. I think this is the best version of this spell to ever be printed so far, and it kind of feels bad to go back to this. Not that Planeswalker is relevant in this, and nor is Battle. I'm just sad that I can't put this in my deck. My commander decks, this is always just going to be a better include. So I'm sad because this is epic artwork. I really like this. So Kim here, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to try and mangle the first name. I apologize. I wish I could pronounce Korean. Korean names. I'm so sorry. I just don't want to mess it up. But this is spectacular artwork. The movement, the lighting, the perspective, oh, it's so good. Oh, Gradle, sleep well, go sleep well. Ram Through is a really good card too, but it's a slightly different effect. So damage equal to power to target creature you don't control, but then you can excess damage if your creature had trample. But again, it's for the sheer number of targets, the Cosmic Hunger is way better for that. So don't get me wrong, the ram through is so good in certain decks. Like it's definitely going to be an include over any type of like rebuke. Because we've got Master's Rebuke, we've got all of the, it's almost always a rebuke. Here, I'll show. So here's Creature or Planeswalker, right? From Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. But yeah, so like just for like sheer number of things you can target, it's the thing. But again, if you have giant creatures and they have trample, then obviously ram through is way better. If you're going face. So I'm just really sad I can't use this in a, oh, that's really, okay. Anyway, sorry, I'm just kind of sad about this. This one is, as with any sort of rabid bite, which is the closest to this. So only creature here. This one's sorcery speed though. This one's instant. But anything like that, right? The rabid bite was kind of the original version of this, the 2 mana deal damage. But, this is always going to be an include in a deck. It's just a good removal spell on green. So again, it's going to be B or B. I think it's probably still a B over B minus. I prefer it to the fight spell. So, all right. Saber-tooth Moose Lion. Oh my God. And the cub. No, Pounce. Pounce is 1 mana. Pounce is 1 mana and a fight. So it's very different. Oh no, it's 2 minutes. Oh wait, sorry. You're right. You're right. Why? What am I thinking? I mean, I'm thinking of like provoke. What am I thinking? You're absolutely correct. What? I feel like there's another one that starts with P that is the 1 mana and does the prey upon. Okay, yeah. But you're absolutely correct, Great Godom. The Pounce is, yeah, definitely the reprint of that from Ixalan. Look at this. It's so cute. The little saber-tooth moose lion cub. Foo-foo cuddly poops. Yeah, Pounce is a fight, not a punch. But you were right that it cost 2. But I was still thinking of Prey Upon. Prey Upon was what I had in my head. So we were both wrong in that case. Okay. All right, this Forest Cycler, 7/7 reach for 6. Damn good return on investment. Great card to get back with that recursion spell. I like this card. I'm going to give it a B minus because again, it can enable so much more with your green stuff, and your green stuff costs a lot. So I like this card. And it's the best one, I think, to reanimate. So that's a sweet one. With reach as well. Okay. Seismic Sense. 1 green mana. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. You reveal a creature or land from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So we've seen a lot of things like this before. The Commune with Badgers was one of the more recent one. Oh, sorry. Beavers, right? Beavers. Yeah, sorry. Badgers and beavers, totally the same thing, right? Anyway, guys, speak beaver. So we're used to this costing 1 and being able to look at for like stuffs. Great God, not when there's reanimation in the set, and there's an uncommon reanimation spell that's pretty darn good with those. Additionally, if the set's slower, then it's those land cyclers are way better. So look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact of that. So this is usually like an early spell that you can use to make sure that you fill out what your plan is for the game, the early game, and you get the land that you need if you need a land, or you get a creature that might, you can cast early or later or whatever, just fill out your hand. We're used to this being at 1. This, if you cast it at 1, is you're only going to look at the top 1, right? And if it's not a creature or land, it's going to go in the bottom of your library. So you can't cast this on 1 and expect to probability-wise to profit. It is a lesson, and a lesson going to your graveyard, even so, even doing nothing is not the worst thing. But I think this is definitely a turn 2 or 3 play at the very earliest, as opposed to a turn 1. So it's functioning a little bit differently than the normal spells that we have that do this, in terms of like this particular version, etc. So that's definitely interesting. I don't know. I mean, I've never been a fan of these cards too. Like, I didn't run this card basically ever. I think I ran it in one deck. This is more interesting because it scales. It's your girl Summer. Welcome. Thank you so much for the tier 1. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hypes you. Thank you so much for your support of the stream. So yeah, it's not functioning the same way as this is functioning. You have to think of it slightly differently. You have to think of it as the longer you can wait to cast this card, the more powerful it will be, because it's a huge bit of card selection. So I suspect that being able to look at the top 5 or 6 cards of your library is pretty cool. It's only creature or land, so you're not going to be able to like go find a removal spell. So it's not like a tutor or anything like that. I'm going to give it a B- for now. I think it's actually got a home in the mid to late game, as opposed to, I just think we have to think about it differently from Commune with Beavers. It's interesting. I don't know exactly how good this will be. We'll see. But again, lesson, so. Shared Roots. 2 mana. Search your library for basic land card, put on the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle. Sorcery. It's a lesson, though. So we have now apparently upgraded Rampant Growth. Search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So, unless something can punish you for lessons in your graveyard or playing a lesson, then this card is always going to be better to run in case you happen to get some random lesson synergies than this card in your constructed stuffs. That said, this is a good card. It's a lesson, fetches you a basic land, fixes your land in that way, and ramps you. So great card. I like it. It's a B+. It's probably a B in limited, though. I want to call it a B+, but it's probably actually a B in limited just because ramping 1 is not as important in limited as it is in any constructed format. That said, it is a lesson, so that's why I'm really still ranking it in the B as opposed to B- or C+ category. But yeah, and the art is spectacular, so there we are. Sparring Dummy. 2 mana, 1/3, Defender, Scarecrow. Mill a card. You may put a land card mill this way into your hand. You gain 2 life if the lesson card is milled this way. I am Melon Lord, yes. Consult Toph's feet, yes. I think your feet need their eyes checked. Alright. 1/3 blocks a lot of the early game. That's not bad. There are artifact and enchantment destruction spells, as we saw the green one earlier, and we also saw the sacrificial... the 84 creatures that sacrifice. Sorry, just 4 types, but it felt like 84. Boar, elk, bird, ox that sacrifices. Burdock root, sorry. If they waste artifacts, you're not that sad, no. But, like, this is a way to get, again, self-mill the, like, that, Paku and this, and get the lessons in the graveyard, and just start getting so many lesson synergies going. That's not bad. Not bad at all. I'm still gonna give it a B-/C+, but, because you can put a land card milled this way into your hand. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, you'd be B-. I like it. Better than C+. Toph, the Blind Bandit, 3 mana X3. When it enters, Earthbend 2. Okay. So you effectively get... So power is equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on lands you control. So you effectively get a 2/3 plus a 2/2 for 3 mana. What the? Gross. I like it. B+. True Ancestry. I mean, that might actually be an A- card. I'm not actually sure. I mean, that might speed up the format quite a bit. So if you curve into this, like, let's say you don't play a 1/1. You don't play a 1-drop. But you play a 2-drop. You got a 2/2. Just say it's generic. 2/2. Then you play a Toph. Then on turn 4, you have already accessible 2 2/2s and a 2/3 attack to be able to attack. And on turn 4, we've already seen the common that puts 4 counters on something. So, because yeah, we already saw this. Earthbending lesson on 4. And that means that you're attacking on turn 4 with 6/6, 2/2, and 6/3. Yeah, I think this is an A-. I really do. I think this is kind of crazy. The land would be tapped in that scenario. You're correct. But a 6/6 on turn 4 is not a bad ROI, that even if it's going to attack the next turn. That's interesting. All right, anyway, next. True Ancestry, 2 mana. Return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Oh, nice. Okay. So a permanent card, and then create a clue token. All right, that's not bad. And it's a lesson to go to the graveyard. I like the artwork too. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we've seen this card before as far as, and so as far as a sorcery speed, return target 1 permanent for 2, 1 and a green. But the additional clue is pretty sweet. I'm going to give it a... I'm going to give it a B, because I think there's a lot of, especially in green, there's a lot of self-mill, and then blue self-mill, so you can get back the permanent that they've killed or that you've milled. I like it. And again, you can attack with Fire Breathers in a Gruul deck to sacrifice the clue token. Fire benders, not fire breathers. Still okay. I mean, oh ho, ho, ho! Yeah, the clue can also help with waterbending cost, but I'm still stuck on the turtle ducks. This was my favorite animal of the series. I don't think you got cuter than this. So it's a 1 mana 0/4 turtle bird. I think the mother comes after you. That's what I think they're doing. I don't know, but yeah, but it's cute. I don't care. It's too cute. So pay 3, has base power 4 and gains trample, so it's a 4/4. I like this card. I think it's fun. It blocks early. It attacks potentially. I think it's a good in a slightly more controlling or late game deck. But your opponent always having to think about whether you can attack with a 4/4 is pretty cool. I'm gonna give it a C plus. I think it's, you know, perfectly playable card. I'm gonna give it an A for how much I love the art and how cute these are. Oh, all right. Cabbage Merchant, 2 mana 2/2. When this creature enters, create a food token. That's already nice. Whenever you sacrifice a food, you may search your library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. If you search your library this way, put this creature on the bottom of its owner's library, then shuffle. Oh, I see. Before I answer that, Great God Ohm, are you planning on watching it at all? Because I don't want to spoil anything. Okay. Then there exists, to our knowledge, one example of a creature that's just the creature that it is in our world. Everything else is hybrid. So, we know of one other card, the saga with Iroh that creates a food token. That I remember instantly. There's probably more, but food token. But you have to, when you sacrifice this, you have to put this creature back. So you can redraw it potentially, but you do lose out on the 2/2. But that's probably fine to thin your deck later, but you just don't want to draw the 2/2 out late either. It's still a good bear. I like it. I'm gonna go with B minus. Could be a B. Did it put it on the battlefield? No, I'm gonna go with B. I think it could graduate to a B plus. I haven't decided yet. Wall Top Sentries, 3 mana, 2/3 Death Touch Reach. Oh, okay, and an ally. Yeah, Kados, it's just, provided they don't have trample. If they have trample, then no. Death Touch being crushed them with a rock, yeah. That's a very, you're right, that's a very odd thing. Death Touch has always seemed like, okay, I do you very little damage, but on the surface, but everything else destroys you. Whereas hit him with a rock doesn't seem like Death Touch, right? You're right. That feels wrong. Like most Death Touchers feel like they should be small, and or doing, you know, surreptitious things like sticking you with a poison needle or whatever it is, right? A poisoned needle, I should say. But these people are just sending giant rocks at you. It doesn't really feel like, you know. I mean, maybe they're sending tiny rocks at you, and then that they just happen to hit a point that like. Stops your heart. I don't know. Not in the artwork anyway. Really accurate with rocks, yeah. All right, reach Death Touch 2/3 for 3. When it dies, if there's a lesson card, you gain 2 life. It has a relevant creature type ally. I'm not super impressed with this. I've been more impressed recently with they're fine. They're fine. They're C+. They're fine. They're playable. It's just not exciting. And the reach Death Touch does matter. Like, they make it so that people's big things don't want to attack. And the fact that they have reach and have a decent body to block with does mean that they stop a lot of the early reach as flying aggression. We did see a couple things that I was pretty worried about green being able to deal with, including... oops. Wrong. No, I gotta go the other way. Sorry. Including this, like if this is a 2/3 flyer attacking early and they have a bunch of them or other ways to pump, like you're probably gonna need to run some of these in green because we just haven't seen that much reach overall. It was just like the 7/7 and this. Seems okay. Yeah, I think it's still perfectly playable. I think it's C+ is still correct, but it's just. it's interesting to me. I would also must have rather it be a 2-mana 1/3, right? That would have been much more death touchy-ish. But yeah, all right. Air Nomad Legacy. When this enchantment enters, create a clue token. Creatures that control with flying get +1/+1. Yeah, good for water bending with the clue token. Creatures with flying get +1/+1. We've seen a bunch of creatures with flying in both blue and white. That's pretty cool. I'm going to go with a B on this one. It's perfectly fine, perfectly playable. Essentially can, you know, for 4 mana can draw you a card and maybe pump a few of your creatures. Seems fine. Not super excited though. Okay. Cat Owl. 4 mana 3/3 flyer. When this creature attacks, untap target artifact or creature. Again, good with the water bending because you're tapping it to do the water bending actual things, and then you can untap and do the stuffs. Seems fine. 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer is not the worst and has decent stats in this set. It's a C+. It's a perfectly fine playable card. Sokka, Lateral Strategist. 3 mana 2/4 vigilance. When it and at least one other creature attack, draw a card. This could get gross. I like this card. This is a B+. That's pretty darn good. All right. Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper, 3 mana 2/4 lifelink. Whenever you, and it's an ally, okay. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token with this creature can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. Oh, fascinating. We saw lots of ways to draw cards, the second card, so that's pretty sweet. Again, all the clues, definitely, and then also, like, on actual creatures where there was rummage and loot and so on and so forth. So that's a pretty good card, and 3 mana 2/4 lifelink already is really good stats for limited. I like this one. I think this one's also a B+. That's pretty cool. Hama the Bloodbender. 5 mana 3/3. Enters target opponent mills 3 cards. Exile up to 1 non-creature, non-land card from that player's graveyard. Oh, King, thanks so much for gifting a sub. I really appreciate it. I got your Discord. I'm sick, so I'm dying, so... Ugh. 3 uncommon spirits. Got it. So there are very few things to block these. They can't block most things, but they also can't be blocked a lot of the time. Okay. So yes, so exile up to 1 target. Sorry, I'm a mess, everybody. I'm fading a little bit. Sorry. We're gonna make it, and I'm gonna try and come early and do the rares and mythics. So exile up to 1 non-creature, non-land. For as long as you control Hama, you may cast the exiled card during your turn by waterbending X rather than paying its mana cost, where X is its mana value. But the whole point is that you're bloodbending creatures. This card makes no sense story-wise. I suppose you're waterbending X, which means you're tapping creatures to do the thing. Maybe that's how I have to think about it. All right. I've convinced myself that that's fine. All right. So waterbend X rather than pay it, but as long as you control comma, so it's I actually don't like milling opponents in this because they can put the lessons in the graveyard, and there's so many cards that care about lessons in the graveyard, so I really kind of I don't know how much I like this card. Number 1, you mill the opponent 3 cards, right? And they might get lessons. Number 2, so you can exile one of those, right? But But number 2, the problem is that you can only do this as long as you control Hama. So it's not like you can do this at any time. Like, it's not a delayed trigger or anything like that. They're like a put it aside, like with Gonti, and you can play those later. I know that this can be very powerful, definitely, but I also think it's pretty... It's a little weak because it costs 5 for a 3/3 already. Milling 3 cards can put all the lessons in there. And even if you get 1 away out of their graveyard, and you even don't cast it, like, that's not really worth it. If you do cast it, then it goes back to their graveyard. They still get that synergy. And you had to waterbend to do it. I don't know. I don't know. I want to like this card, but I don't think it's that good. I'm sure I'm gonna get wrecked by it, but I'm gonna give this a I'm gonna give this a C+. I think you can play this card. I think it's fine. But I'm not seeing quite it being great. If that makes sense. I mean, the potential 2-for-1 is fine, but again, you'd have to waterbend, and Hama has to, like... basically, it's card selection from opponent's graveyard, right? Non-creature, non-land. So you could select a lesson of some kind, or an artifact, or something like that. But you have to... Hama has to survive until you can cast it. And Hama costs 5. So you have to have enough creatures to waterbend X of its mana value. She adds 1 because you can tap her for that because it's not tapping for her own, like, it's not like, yeah. Anyway, I just, like, this card was excellent. Absolutely dumb. This is not that card. Now, admittedly, this didn't mill them so that you can maybe find a better spell. But I think milling is a slight downside in this, actually. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with the C+. I think you can play it, and I'm sure that it will go up or... it can only go up, I think. I don't think... Well, no. It could be completely unplayable. I don't think it is. I don't like this card. I might be wrong. I really want to think that maybe I'm missing something, and I might be. So let's see. But I'm gonna rate this as nigh unplayable. But we'll see. All right, Messenger Hawk, 3 mana, 1/2. When its creature enters, create a clue token. That's 2 bodies for waterbending. That's nice. It's also a clue token that is, you can draw further into your deck. Hama Death Touch, yeah. This creature gets +2/+0 as long as you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Again, C+, perfectly playable card. Cruel, and I mean, again, it creates a clue token for 3, 1/2. Yeah. So, and you can attack for 3 the next turn. Yeah, I still think C+ is a good card. It's just like fine card to play, rather. It's not like unplayable at all. Cruel Administrator. Hey, Vinny. 5 mana, 5/4. This creature enters with a +1 counter if you attack this turn. Okay, so it's a 6/5 if you attacked. Whenever this creature attacked, create a 2/2 red. What? Gross. All right, this is B+/A-. This is a gross card. The worst case scenario, it's going to trade with something big in theory and poop out a 2/2 for all your trouble. At 5 for a 5/4. That's fine. I like that. All right. Vindictive Warden. 3 mana, 2/3 menace firebending 1, and you can Pay 3 to deal 1 damage to each opponent. Okay. I like this card. It's a 2/3 with evasion, the menace already, and you get the fire bending. And late game, it's an actual threat. 1 damage to each opponent for 3 is kind of crazy. Late game. I actually really, I think this is a B- card. A good card. Zhao, Ruthless Admiral. So the first time I watched this show was when it, for me, it was initially released on Nickelodeon, I think. And I heard his voice, and so Jason Isaacs has a very a very, very distinctive voice. And I was like, that's Jason Isaacs. And then I was just like, I know he's evil, but I will listen to him and get little shivers every time. It was so great. But yeah, anyway, I would listen to there's certain people that that I will listen, like, read the dictionary, like James Earl Jones and Patrick Stewart, Jason Isaacs, rest in peace some of these people, by the way, in advance, Tim Curry, Alan Rickman, they just have golden voices, like, yeah, so anyway, sorry, so I'll calm down now. Okay, anyway, this card, so 4 mana for 3/4, not that great, but we got Firebending 2. Let's see, whenever you sacrifice one of the permanent creatures you control, get +1/+0 until end of turn. That's pretty cool. We know a bunch of things that synergize with that, that we saw earlier, so it's a good way to mass pump on the go wide, but we also have multiple ways to create fodder to sacrifice, including this. We have, this is fodder to sacrifice. We have 2 things here that we know sacrifice creatures, which is super, super freaking sweet. So we've got Judy and June. Those are the 2 ones that we've seen that for the sacrifice deck. That's amazing. But also you have all the clues to sacrifice. So this card is probably better than it first appears, even with the, like, stuffs. So, I'm gonna give it a B, here. It can probably be a B+. I don't think it's gonna make it to A-, but I've been wrong before. But yeah, that's a cool one. All right, Bitter Work. Wait, why did we go from Z to B? Are these not in alphabetical order? Probably not. Okay. Whenever you attack a player with 1 or more creatures with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Yeah, it looks like they're in color. You're correct. I mean, I've this is Gruul and this is Gruul, and we just went for 2 Rakdos at least. All right. And you can exhaust Earthbend 4, activate only during your turn. There's a lot of 4 powers that we've seen. They are 4 drops usually. And this one makes one at 4 as well. But I kind of like this. You can be just mono red too, which is interesting. Yeah, this is a way to get further, and you can also Earthbend 4 for 4 is perfectly fine. All right. I'm gonna go B here, just because, again, statistically in the past, things like Garrick's Uprising, they're just not necessarily that worth it, because you have to make sure you have the power 4 or greater, and so it has to be really easy to access. You have to be able to play multiples in time, for 3 mana. But this one produces its own, which is pretty sweet. They just have to be able to attack. This does give haste, so at least you can replace there. So I do think it's better than this card in some ways, and in some ways a little worse, because all you have to do is cast the card here rather than attack. That said, there are a lot of 4 power things. It's just a little slow to not be doing anything on 3. So curving with a Gruul deck, less exciting with this card. So it's probably a better later game card to play, potentially. If there's nothing happening on the board, or if this is all you have to do on 3, fine. Then next turn you can Earthbend 4, but it's just interesting. It's 1 or more, so you're not going to draw multiple for each. Just always remember that. Earth Rumble Wrestlers. 4 mana, 3/4 reach. This creature gets +1/+0 and has trample as long as you control a land creature or a land entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Okay, so you can either play your land or you can have an Earthbent land. And it has reach, which I'm a fan of. C+, perfectly reasonable. Uncle Iroh. Well, there's a 4/2 for 3. All right. Okay, so we've seen 2 potential 4/3s for 3. Again, we're gonna say that maybe this Tiger Dillo definitely has a home. That's fascinating. All right. So, 4/2, lessen spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Firebending 1. It's a noble, so again we have a little bit something for the Low and Lee. To give lifelink to. Yeah, I like this card. It synergizes with a bunch of things. I'm less a fan of it alone and more a fan of it with other stuff. And that's really nice because Iroh is always better as a character in terms of how he relates to other people and other things. So that's pretty sweet. Flavor-wise. Which makes him a little hard to rate as a creature. I think I'm gonna go with... I mean, discounts on lessons are really cool. I really want to give him a B+, but I think that might be overestimating the whole thing. I'm gonna give him a B+, and just because I like him. Oh yeah, it's an Udi. Hashtag not sponsored anymore. We had one stream where it was sponsored and they sent me this and it was super sweet. It is like the warmest thing I have. It's a fleece lined like hoodie blanket. It is so cool. With black kitties on it. Makes me happy. It's usually Haldir's bed. I just steal it every once in a while when it's really cold. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a B+ just because I love Iroh. Earth Kingdom Soldier. 5 mana, 3/4 vigilance. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. Okay, serviceable. C+. Suki. I love Suki. 4 mana, star 4. Power is equal to the number of creatures you control. Whenever it attacks, create... Oh, dang. Okay. That's tapped and attacking, but it has to be her attacking, so it's... Well, it's no Adeline, but yeah, it's just an uncommon, so it shouldn't be. All right. I like it. I'm gonna give it a probably... I think I want to give it a B+. It's just so good in the ally decks. All right. White Lotus Reinforcements. All right. 3 mana, 2/3 vigilance. Other allies. Yeah, and mass pump. Damn. Okay. B+. Yeah. That's a good one. Hey bye. Spirit of Balance. Oh, that is epically good artwork. Nicely done. So 4 mana, 3/3. Whenever it enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature artifact. If you do, put 2 +1 counters on it. So you can sacrifice a clue, make it into a 5/5. And then when it leaves the battlefield, put its counters on target creature you control. Okay, so there's the +1/+1 counter theme. I think this could be pretty silly, especially if you're pooping out other stuffs. Like, it's also really stupid with that trebuchet. That trebuchet just does everything we want it to do in this set. This thing is really good. Calvarus. Yes, this reads hey bye, I believe. Yeah, dang. Okay. I'm gonna give it a B normally, but I think it can graduate to a much higher in the particular deck, if you have the pieces already. Oh yeah, Pentapox! Pretending Poxbearers, 2 mana 2/1. When it dies, create a 1/1 white ally creature token. Already has the ally type. It's C+, is perfectly playable. Tolls of War. When this enchantment enters, create a clue token. Okay. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent during your turn, create a 1/1 white ally creature. Jesus. Okay. I just want this card. It does something with everything else. This has to be in a deck with black. It absolutely, like, in a heavily featured black deck. Like, unless it's really heavily a clue deck, I think. Like, you could probably splash it in white-blue. But it wouldn't be that great. You could splash it in black-red, I think. I'm going to go with B on this one. Again, I think it has to be in certain decks. Like, very much has to be in certain decks to be at all good. Because if you don't really have a lot of ways to sacrifice things, and really it's the clues that are going to do that. And they did a good job putting clues in a number of different colors, but the majority of them in elsewhere, and you want to be able to sacrifice other things like creatures, so... Okay. Abandon attachments. You may discard a card if you do draw 2 cards. So, at instant speed, okay, so this is, I mean, and either blue or red, that's pretty sweet. Again, for the draw 2, this is really good as something to put a less in the graveyard and trigger prowess. This is really good. The tormenting voice idea is great. Notably, this isn't as good as the one we got most recently in Spider-Man, which didn't require, like, you could play, which you could play with an empty hand. You can't play this with an empty hand and do anything interesting. So, cast with Qatar in hand, decline to card, discarding card, yeah. It does put a lesson in the graveyard, even if you don't do anything with it, so that's interesting, but, like, this isn't like the Spider-Man one where if you have an empty hand, you can cast it and just draw 2 cards. This one, you have to discard a card in order to draw the 2 cards, otherwise it won't. Yeah. So it enables a lot of synergies in a lot of decks. I do think it's probably gonna be... It might actually elevate to a B- over a C+. I'm gonna tentatively give it a B- because there's so many things that it does. This was one of the inconsistencies of the show that I had trouble with. So, anyway, moving along. Dragonfly Swarm. Oh, it's cute. 3 mana, star 3, flying ward 1. This creature's power is equal to the number of non-creature non-lands in your graveyard. Okay. When this creature dies, if there's a lesson card in your graveyard, draw a card. Seems decent. I'm gonna go with B-. It's... Because it's an 0-3 to start with, unless you have something in the graveyard. So I'm gonna go with B-. I think in the right deck, it can absolutely crush, but you have to first make it happen. And this is a good way to start making it happen. Professor Zay! Anthropologist. So you can rummage. Again, that's a way to enable the draw an extra card per turn. That's sweet. Second card per turn. 2 mana 0-3. You can also sacrifice it to return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. That is statistically really, really good. I like this card. I'm gonna give it a B. I might be undervaluing it. It might be a B+. I love the artwork too. That's really cool. We already got to the turtle ducks. They were great. They made me happy. Daily Agents. 5 mana 3/4 in Golgari. When it enters Earthbend 1, then Earthbend 1. So you could be able to make a 2/2, or you could make a 1/1 and a 1/1. Whenever this creature attacks, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on it. So it's better for you to do across the 2 if you're going to be attacking, and they lose 2, you gain 2. This seems really sweet in the Earthbending decks. I really like this card. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, the 1 does make it, very vulnerable to that red uncommon that does 1 to all their opponent's creatures, but it's still really, really good. I like this card. I'm going to go with B+ on this one. I think this is a very good card. There's a ton of +1/+1 counters in black and a bunch in green too. All right. Earth Village Ruffians. 3 mana 3/1. When dies, Earthbend 2. Oh. So you effectively get a 5 power and 3 toughness over the course of 2, like, the time that this is. That's fine. Right? Yeah. Perfectly playable. I think I want to give this one a B-, because it can go in the sacrifice decks especially, but because that's a lot of good return on investment to start with. Longfang, Grand Secretariats. 3 mana 2/3. Whenever another creature you control or land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. All right, that's fine. I'm gonna go with B. I like it. In the sacrifice deck, I think it's a B+, but it has to be dedicated. And again, this is just good value overall, as you're sacrificing creatures or lands. And that does make the Harrow card, the card that's trying to mimic Harrow, better, because you're sacrificing a land. So, yeah, it seems fine. Jet, Freedom Fighter, 5 mana and Boros, 3/1, and it enters, it deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature and opponent control. So it's a removal spell on a stick plus a 3/1. When it dies, put a +1 counter on each to 2 target creatures. All right. Very thematic. Very nice. At 5 mana and Boros, though. So it'll add 1. Let's assume you have like 2 more creatures, so 3 damage to target creature and opponent controls. I don't know if this is good enough. I'm gonna go with B- for now. It could be very irritating. I just don't know about the 5 mana expenditure in that particular color. It is an ally. I'm not sure. I really don't know about this one. This one's... Most things do die to 3 damage here, though. Like, I mean, unless you're playing against green. I think against green, this is really... I mean, you have to have so many... Okay. 2 drop... So, 2 drop the 2 1/1s. 3 drop the red 2/1 with haste and the 1/1. And then play this, and you have 5 creatures in the battlefield, and that's the ideal curve for this. That's not bad. And it's an ally, so it might do something else there. I don't know. I'm gonna go B for now. All right. Sun Warriors. 4 mana, 3/5. Why does this art look so unfinished? Maybe my eyes are just playing tricks on me, having stared at things too long today. Sorry. Does Rest in Peace stop all earthbending? I'd have to look it up. Sorry. Sun Warriors, 4 mana, 3/5. Firebending X, where X is the number of creatures you control. Okay. So it's at least going to be 1, because you control 1. 5... Oh, that's a nice way to get around a board stall. And it makes an ally. Okay. All right. And you can use the Firebending X to... This is going to get cheaper and cheaper as you attack to do. Its stats aren't ridiculous, but that's cool. I like this card. I'm going to go with B plus on this one. Wandering Musicians, there they are. It's an ally, 4 mana, 2/5. When it attacks, creatures you control get +1. Oh, Mass Pump again on that? That's really... I like this as a B minus. This is pretty good. But it has to attack first, so I don't know. And we don't have a lot of ways to give haste, but it's still fine. It's still probably C+. I like B minus. The 5 toughness here is actually quite relevant based on what I'm seeing. For red to do 5 takes a little bit of work, for example, as far as damage. There's a lot of things with only 4 power, so that it blocks. And this is just a really key mass pump effect for the ally deck in either of these colors, or both, that mass pumps and goes. I kind of like it. So I do think B minus, actually. Guru Patik, 4 mana, 2/4. When it enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a lesson, saga, or shrine card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the that's a lot of options with the lessons. There's so many lessons. Fewer sagas and shrines, but some. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever you cast a lesson saga, put a +1/+1 counter on another target. This is fine. I like the fact that it probably will draw you a card. Why are the hippie pacifist bards a mass pump? That's a good question. Flavor-wise, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I agree. Maybe they're just empowering people with their love, but, you know, they're empowering people with their love. What those people do with the power that they gain from their love, they can't control. So I kind of like this card because I think it will draw you a card most of the time. 5 cards to get a lesson. I mean, it will blank on occasion, definitely. But the secondary ability is pretty decent, putting counters there. I'm gonna go with B. I think it could graduate to B plus. I think this has that threshold, like somewhere in there. Hermetic, sorry, herbalist. 2 mana, 2/3, add 1 mana of any... Oh, nice! Add 2 mana in any combination of colors, spend this mana only to cast lesson spells. Suck on these frogs. My friends need to suck on these frogs. I like this card. Obviously, you have to be in Simic for this to work, and because you're not gonna splash this card, in theory, because you want it early, so they can ramp into other stuff. So I do think it's a B because of the restriction, but if you're already in this card colors, yay. And if you want to start off, sure, fine. But I imagine there are better cards to start off with. Platypus Bear! 2 mana, 2/3 defender. When it enters, mill 2 cards. Okay. As long as there's a lesson card in your graveyard, this creature can attack as though it didn't have defender. It's still just a really good controlling start because it's a good blocker based on the stats that we've seen. There are a few 3/1s that, like, will trade with it, but that's fine. And again, it gets that self-mill is really important to get those lessons cards in your graveyard. Yeah. Alright. I like it. C+. Aang's Journey, 2 mana, but it has kicker 2. You can search your library for basic land card. If it was kicked, instead search your library for basic land card and a shrine. Oh, that's... Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle. So it doesn't put them on the battlefield. It doesn't ramp you, but it does fix your mana, potentially. And then it also finds a shrine card. That's key. That makes these shrines... The fact that this is in this set makes those shrines so much better. So much better. And it's a lesson going to your graveyard. This is a really high pick for me. This is like the oh god, what were they? The lesson from okay, freaking Strixhaven colorless. It was experimental something. Environmental sciences. That's the one. Sciences, yeah. Whenever you search your library for a basic land card reveal, put it into your hand, you gain 2 life. This one also gains 2 life. This one's so nice. But you can also search, you can kick it. Oh, that's so good. I want this card in every deck that I run in Best of 1, at the very least. And if I have a Shrine deck, oh, people beware. This is so good. Actually, Hegsy, I think that the presence of this card suggests that it is a slow format. Potentially. Which means I really like where this set is going. I prefer slower formats. That means that there's more decisions to make. And that those decisions matter more, therefore. You have to make the right ones for that incremental advantage. God, I hope this is a slow format like Strixhaven. I really enjoyed Strixhaven. I hope it's not I hope that there aren't, you know, colors that are just so much stronger than everything else. And to some degree, Strixhaven's most aggressive deck. I mean, Boros was very aggressive. I still think Silverquill was actually a little bit more, even more aggressive than Boros in that particular thing. But I had to have to go check again. But I hope the aggressive deck doesn't just take over in that case and stop all the people from having fun. But I definitely want this in every deck that I get. So I'm picking this really highly. I think this is an A- card. Again, there's a lot of rares I'll pick over it. There's some uncommons, but very few. And I don't want that. I don't need that many. But the first one is so important, I think. But yeah, anyway. Energy bending. I mean, just take what this did and then also add an extra bit of valuable stuffs. I don't care that you can't learn into it. That's fine. Energy bending. This is just really important. And that like, there's a lot of, so of the shrines, right? There are some that are good just on their own, especially the white one in particular. And if you get one of these early, you might be able to prioritize enough of the shrines to actually make it work. Then everything changed when they released Firebending. Yeah, energy bending, 2 mana, lands you can. This was the lovely Deus Ex Machina moment for the kind of made me sad. All right, it was fine. I still love the show. Okay. 2, lands you control gain all basic land types until end of turn, less and draw a card. Okay. I think that's more of a constructed card. It does it replace itself. It cantrips. It triggers your prowess. Yeah, so cantrips, it triggers your prowess. It fixes your mana for 1 turn. But I do believe that this will be way better in something that isn't limited. So I'm gonna give this a C. I think it's playable, again, because it's a lesson for the graveyard. It cantrips, and maybe it fixes. So, but I'm not excited to play it. Zuko's Exile, 5 mana instant lesson. Exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment controller creates a clue token. All right, in desperation, if you don't have a lot of removal, let's go for it. It's also a lesson. It's a C+. It's runnable. I'm not super excited about it. Barrels of Blasting Jelly, 1 mana. You can filter through, add 1 mana of any color, activate only once each turn. Okay. But you can also later use this as a removal spell. It's fine. Again, if you don't have enough mana fixing, that's fine. It's also something you can tap for water bending. And you should remember that. So again, C plus. Again, you'd have to really be low on removal, and also you'd really need the fixing. Or you'd be like a really heavy water bending and missing both of those things. Like, okay. Bender's Water Skin, 3 mana. Untap this artifact during each other player's untap step. Add 1 mana of any color. That's cool. Okay. All right. I imagine this is going to do more in constructed than limited, but again, you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. And then you can untap it and then water bend during their turn, or exhaust during their turn. Or hold up an instant, like shore up during their turn. That's not that bad. I still like C or C plus is fine, but like, yeah. But I think that's cool. It's just cool, not great. Fire Nation Warship, 3 mana 4/4 reach. When this vehicle dies, create a clue token. Crew 2. Again, it's a good way to get value out of the things that we like to get value out of for tapping. So, again, this Compassionate Healer being one of the more likely ones. Not excited about this. It's fine. I need B minus. Why does it have reach? Maybe the trebuchet's on it? I don't know. Okay, Kyoshi Battle Fan. 2 mana. When it enters, create a 1/1 white ally creature token, then attach it to it. So that's going to be a 2/1 that you get for 2. Plus an equipment that can give +1/+0 and be moved around. Equip 2. You can also tap this for water bending. I like this card. I like this card. I think this is a C plus / B minus. Yeah, pretty sweet. Okay. Meteor Sword, 7 mana. 7 mana. Enters, destroy target permanent enchanted creature. Equip creature, sorry, gets +3/+3. Equip 3. There's so many things that destroy an artifact for like 2 mana. 7 mana, even though it destroys something when it enters the battlefield, you'd have to pay 10 to equip it the same turn. I don't think I like this very much. It's not Meteor Golem. Meteor Golem is a 3/3 body as well that you can flicker. In this, we don't really have flicker. We have bounce, and we have the exile and repay for 2 if you can airbend it. I think those are the best versions of it. The fact, though, that it is 7 and uncommon here and destroys, like, I think that means that they're thinking this is a little slower format. I do not know how to rate this one. I'm gonna go with a B minus for now, because again, it will destroy anything, so it is a thing. What if you get quenched? What if this gets quenched? That sucks. Yeah, it does destroy lands as well. Yeah, it destroys anything. That's why I still want it above a C. It's just target permanent, not non-land. So yeah. Yeah, I still think I'm gonna go B or B minus, but again, if they're indicating it's a much slower format, this could rise quite a bit in my estimation. The fact that you just destroy anything, and then, I mean, you can equip for 3. +3/+3 is nothing to sneeze at the next turn, but it's just implying that there's got to be a next turn, and Yeah. I'm gonna go with B for now. I think it's gonna be a good card overall if it's really slow. I think it could go up, but it also could definitely go down. Trusty Boomerang. 1 mana. Equip creature has pay 1 and tap. Tap target creature. Return Trusty Boomerang to its owner's hand. Equip 1. Okay. So this is a very similar card to Leonin Bola from Darksteel. Equip creature has tap, unattached Leonin Bola, tap target creature, equip 1. Now, the difference is, and that was common, the difference here is you don't have to pay 1 and tap the creature. You just tap the creature. Additionally, Trusty Boomerang doesn't returns to owner's hand, so you'd have to recast it. This does not have to be recast. You just have to re-equip it, right? For 1. So this at uncommon is way worse than this card. But that's partly because Bola was broken in its limited format. This was a great, stupid, awful card to play against. I just don't know how much... I don't know if it's this much... Like, given power creep since Darksteel... I'm not sure how good this is. Something to waterbend. It's definitely, you know, tapping target creature is nice. I don't know how to rank this. I'm gonna go with B- for now. But I'm ready to be wrong, and I'm ready to be at this for it to be the second coming of Leonin Bola. We'll see. All right, Airship Engine Room. So these are all a series of lands that provide 2 colors. They enter tapped. They don't have a basic land type. You can pay 4 and tap them to sacrifice them, draw a card. So if you flood out, these are a way of perhaps getting some way out. The narrative behind them I don't like, because why would you sacrifice these? There's so many things that you're just not sacrificing here. These are all key places from the series, and they're not sacrificed. Nor are they sacrificeable, most of them. So this seems like a flavor fail for me. It feels like it would have been better if they scryed or did other things like the original Surveilled, or did anything like either the Spider-Man or the Strixhaven or so on and so forth. I don't like the sacrifice a land, draw a card. That said, there are decks that care about sacrificing things. So most notably in Grixis Colors, but I mean, and it is a way to draw further into your deck, but sacrificing a land, ew. I don't know. So many things count on extra lands being in play in this. Like, you put +1/+1 on counters when you earthbend. Like, you want to play bigger, better, faster, stronger spells. I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's just an extra bit of value if you need them. So it looks like there's 1 of each of the 10 color pairs. No, if you earthbend onto one of them already, then you could sacrifice it and get them back. But I mean, my point though is, if you're flooded out, you're looking for something that can earthbend anyway, right? And you want a land in play to earthbend onto. It's just weird. But yes, you can make one into a 2/2, sacrifice it, and get it back into play. Draw that first card, and then sacrifice it again, draw another card if you have, like, the next turn. It's just, that feels... It feels antithetical to what this thing really wants to do. But the thing... Like, I think mana matters a lot in this set. And having lands in play to put +1/+1 counters matters a lot. Alright. Rumble Arena. Vigilance when it enters Scry 1. Add 1 or filter 1. Well, if you put this into play, you can filter your colors, so that's pretty cool. Is this the best version of the shores that we've got? I think this is the best version we've ever had of Unknown Shores. So here's some power creep. This is Unknown Shores. We have add colorless, pay 1 and tap, add 1 mana of any color. So that is all down here. Then you have 2 other things happening. When this land enters Scry 1, and then also Vigilance on this. Vigilance as well, so you can, you know, Earthbend onto it and then attack. And then use it to add mana. Alright. Or filter. That seems good. I'm not unhappy to play 1 or more of those. Don't think I'd ever play more than 2 still. Yeah. Crystal Grotto came through, but this was the original, I think. I think Unknown Shores was one of the first ones to do this. Original Theros. No, there might have been one prior. Was M14 before this? I forget whether. Anyway. Yeah, seems like a fine card. I probably want to run one of these to fix mana anyway. The Scry is pretty nice. The filter is pretty nice. And then the fact that it has Vigilance to be Earthbent upon is nice. Okay. And the fact that if it died, it would return after being Earthbent and Scry 1 again is pretty sweet. Serpent's Pass, Sunblessed Peak, White Lotus Hideout. Okay. Colorless. 1 mana of any color. Spend this only to cast a Lessener Shrine spell. Yeah, but Crystal Grotto was the best version of the Unknown Shores that had ever been printed prior to this. But now we add stuff. We've come a long way. So, hideouts. So, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a Lessener Shrine spell. Or you can filter. That seems fine. I'm just not that excited about it. It's fine in the similar circumstances kind of to this. I prefer the Scry, though. Unless I really need the fixing for this. Yeah, I won't object to, like, running one in a deck, but I'm not going to prioritize it heavily. I think this one's probably a C or C+. This one's probably C+, could elevate to B-. Okay, now that's the end of it. Oh, okay. That's the end of the commons and uncommons, because now you get into the jump start. Okay. So, I'm going to go to sleep. Then I'm going to come back, hopefully, before... I might not be able to. I might just be too dead to do it, but... and we'll be doing a look at the rares and mythics. But these days, it's less important for me to do, okay, rares and mythics, because, frankly, the rares are usually so powerful these days that if you have a rare in the pack, you kind of just take it, right? Early, and then you can build around it, or, you know, you can start seeing, like, since we reviewed the commons and uncommons, if you start seeing that your rare color is not supported, you just go into the color that the commons and uncommons are really supporting. That said, there's also play boosters now, which means you kind of have to be able to, like, it's more important these days to go over the rares and mythics, just because you need to be able to evaluate if two are in the same pack, which one's stronger than the other, and which one's like a true signal. That said, like, again, it's less important to me for your pre-releases to go over those, because again, you know, look, you see this card first pack, pick it. Like, it's not, it's great, but I'll try to go over them tomorrow before we get into the early access. I just don't know that I'm sick, so I'm not sure I will be able to do that. I'm gonna try and sleep a lot so that I can stream most of the as many hours of the early access as possible. There's a chance I'll join later in the evening, and if so, I won't do a precursor to this. I'll just dive right in and we can learn as we go. But as you can see, the early access starts in 8 hours and 28 minutes, 27 minutes now. And your early access streamers will have the totally normal event token that you can see listed here. And they will have access to this. They also already have, thanks to Arena, and Magic and Wizards, we already have the, like, and I've been playing with it for a while, so you've probably seen it, but we already have the little Momo. We have the little Momo as our companions. So that's pretty sweet. I might have to get, like, where are the early, like, the buy things, store stuffs? Let's see. I don't know if the Mastery Pass gives us anything cool. Are there any emotes for Avatar out yet? No, probably not. They'll probably do it on the actual release, but it would be cool to have emotes for that. Anyway, so I really hope this was helpful for any pre-releases you go in, but I think the most helpful thing that you can do for your pre-releases is, again, watch your favorite streamer play tomorrow. Today, technically. It's 3:30 in the morning. But, like, sort of tomorrow, it's 8 hours and 30 minutes, whatever. So, and that will really help you evaluate which cards are stronger, what, you know, interactions to look for, and how to have real fun with this set. So I know so many streamers are going to be on, so chances are, if you have a favorite streamer, they will be on, and I'll be on, hopefully I'm not too gross. And maybe I'll turn off the camera if I'm that bad or something. But I have a really cool thing for tomorrow for things that I like and things that I don't like. So this is when I don't like this. I don't like what's happening. Things are going poorly. Oh my god. I'm scared. Hold me. And this is for when we're winning. Sorry. Anyway, so I have that for tomorrow. That's fun. I also have an Appa hat in case I get cold with little ears. So I'm very excited. I was not intending on getting sick. Ugh. Anyway, this sucks. But, this sucks, but yes, definitely. However, I hope you enjoy the early access so much, even if it's not me, at all. Even if I don't get to play at all, I will hope to live vicariously through you. So please tell me all about what you see, if I don't make it, to participate. I am pretty sure I'll be able to, because I'm going to be taking Afrin and, like, Sudafed or something. I don't know. Something. I don't know if I want to double up on a decongestant, but I'm going to hope to feel well enough to play. So, all right. Let's go raid somebody. Whom do you wish to raid right now? We've got Exiled right now that I recognize, and there's also Kitty Kate, who raided us the other day, and Empathosaurus Rex, whom we raided like a week or so ago. So if you have anybody that you'd prefer to raid, we absolutely can. Those are the ones I recognize, but I take recommendations as well. So if you have somebody you'd prefer to raid, we absolutely can. Does anybody have anybody they'd like? And again, I'm so sorry for the gross noises. Hopefully the overview helped a little bit in sort of evaluating where you're going to be. There are a few cards that I still don't know exactly how to evaluate, so I'm really excited to see how they play out. And we'll go from there. All right. So I'm going to choose to raid Kitty Kate because they raided us last time, so we'll return the favor. All right. Oh wait, it looks like they might be doing a set review, which I don't want to bore you. Wait, maybe they'll cover the rares. Hold on, let's try that. Maybe they'll cover the rares for you in case I can't. All right, start this raid. Okay, so hopefully, and I also, even if you're seeing the same thing again, like covering the commons and uncommons, it's really important to get multiple perspectives. Because people will rate some things higher than others. They'll just have different preferences for how they play, so they'll rank a card differently. And then you also get new ideas for synergies and possible interactions that I may not have covered. So I highly recommend watching multiple people's for limited first, look or set reviews, etc. So yeah, so good stuff. Okay, so we're gonna raid now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you have the most wonderful morning, noon, night, afternoon tea, second breakfast, whatever time it is for you. And I cannot wait to see you during this early access stream. I really hope I can do it. I just don't know how I feel after I sleep, so we'll see. And yeah, I really appreciate all of you hanging out. And check out the YouTube when you get the chance. If you missed a moment, you really want to see how I evaluated a card, the whole VOD will be up on YouTube. You can also see edited drafts, box openings, events where we win money and don't win money, and also where we win packs and don't win packs, those sorts of things. But yeah, have a blast at this early access. Check out the sponsors you get a chance. Magic Jank, Fractal, and Rogue, super sweet. We're gonna raid now. Thank you so much, everybody. I love you all. Mwah! Here we go.